Oh.
The amazing Frank Oliver Byrne.
Oh, 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 oh.
So you found another messed up person, did you?
She's getting a lot of grace, that's for sure. She's had a whole bunch of near-death experiences, and then she started talking to animals, and uh, and now she's got a Sasquatch friend looking after her, helping her and stuff, guarding her,
Guarding her. Nice.
helping her. Yeah,
You mean gardening with her?
yeah.
Oh, what are they growing?
Friendship, I think.
Yeah, that's the best kind of garden to grow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
No, he guards her when she's out in the woods, and I guess he's giving her advice and stuff. It sounds pretty cool to me. He's a young Sasquatch, and it's really clear that he was given that job because he's going to be a teacher or healer someday, and so he's helping her, and she's helping him. So that's the way I look at it.
So you rub your back, and I'll rub your back, and you rub mine, kind of thing, eh?
Oh, we live streamed, huh? Scream, scream. We all scream for live stream.
That was about as lively a scream as you're going to get out of me. That sounded like indigestion more than a scream.
You got to vomit up some of the stuff we've been fed for the last 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is Port Cunningham, and I'm here with the guru of love, the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Baines. Welcome to the show, Frank.
Don't be mad at me. I can't help it.
No.
I'm doing good. I feel like the Sasquatch and ETs and angels, everybody's doing their best part to help the world out.
Beautiful.
We're on the team inside out.
I just finished a huge, great big chapter. I've got like another couple stories to write, and I'm done, man. And then I'm going to start putting my pictures in. And
congratulations! How cool is that?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. We'll find out if it's cool. Maybe it'll suck.
Well, it'll always suck, but that doesn't matter. It's done. It's done. Life sucks, and then it's beautiful. So there you go.
Well, it depends on where your vibration's at. If it's high enough, everything's beautiful.
Where's our glorious guest?
She just messaged me. She's coming. I guess she's getting prepared for the grilling from the Bean Boys.
We're not going to grill nobody.
That's quite the response. That's quite the responsibility to be on our show. Scares people.
Listen, we got some new people in the group, and I'm sure it's because of Lady B. Denise Counts. Let her in.
Beautiful. Hello, Denise. Welcome aboard. And stick around for more shows.
And Lynn Ugstad.
Hey, Miss Ugstad.
From Minnesota. And I'm going to let her in the group too.
Beautiful. We pretty well let anybody in. Not that these people wouldn't be in anyway, but I don't think we turn anybody down, do we?
I don't know. Oh, you're live on the Pork and Bean Show. There you go.
Oh, we are.
Oh.
Why? You were going to say something inappropriate?
No, I always say things inappropriate. That's why I keep my mouth shut a lot of times.
Yeah, but that's the charm of the show.
Yeah.
Everything is beautiful in its own way. Especially you, being the world's handsomest man.
Yeah, I can't help it.
No, people hate you and love you at the same time.
I'm also the world's richest man. I own everything, and I own all the money, and I let everybody use it. You can thank me if you want.
You don't use any of it yourself.
I don't need to. I got everything. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. If you get your hill, your your hill, get your heart filled up with love, what else do you need, man?
Bettina Moss on the
Yeah.
Pork and Bean Show.
Yeah. We're just waiting for her. Oh, so
I think
did I tell you my friend Tyler? He's been asking for a visual of a Sasquatch. He's kind of like my I don't like to say protege because that kind of puts me on a pedestal or whatever. So I wouldn't
is
say
your disciple.
Yeah,
Is your disciple.
he's my disciple, right? I wear a white robe when I walk around.
Hey,
And
you spelled Bettina's name wrong. And the
what?
title. Can you go back to the title and get her name right?
Did I? What part did I
I
spell
think
wrong?
you said Bettina's instead of Bettina. I think it was just a typo.
Oh, okay. Well, how do I do that? Can I do that?
Yeah. What you do is you go onto the Pork and Bean Show, and then you hit those three little dots under the live, and you should be able to edit the title from there.
You entertain the lady while I go and do that.
Okay.
Can you handle that part?
Yeah. Hi.
How are you?
Can you hear us?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know why
Look
it's
at
not.
that.
This meeting's been.
Look at that. You got all your makeup on and stuff, and we look like we just got drug out of the sewer or something.
Y'all look
Beautiful.
perfectly fine.
We're natural men. We're natural men. You know,
Which one is Brian?
the one with the name Brian.
Are you Brian right now? I've never seen. I've never been on Zoom like this before. So no, I see it now.
Yeah,
How
the
are
one
you
that
doing?
says, the one that says Brian is
You
me.
roll your pointer over the pictures, and you can see everybody.
No,
There
I
we
see
go.
it. I see it now because I was looking straight at y'all's faces at the top of the screen and
Oh,
showing.
but wait a
guys
minute. We're incognito. I got to change our names here.
incognito.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
have like I'm Fort Cunningham and he's Frank Oliver Bean. So
I showed up as Lehman. I don't know how to change that. Can I change my name on here real quick?
I'll
Yeah,
change
you
it
can.
for you. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Thank you, because I don't know how to do it. That's my ex-husband, and I guess
Got to go into participants. At the bottom, it says participants
No, I'll do it. I'll do it.
or
And
prissy pants.
I'll actually spell it right this time.
You could call it prissy pants or participants any way you want.
participant.
Hold on.
I don't know why this. I got my earbuds plugged up. Can y'all hear me okay though?
You sound okay. Yeah.
I'm not understanding.
Well,
Why?
are you in the kingdom of heaven? You look like you're in the kingdom of heaven.
Oh, that's so. Is that a compliment?
Yeah, look, those are the clouds, and where's the angels and stuff? I'm sure
No,
God's in
that-
there somewhere.
That's DOGMAN.
Oh, that's Dogman. Well, that's cool. I like Dogman.
Maybe I need to. I don't know. Let me. You know what? Let me get. I'm trying to figure out. I don't know what it's gonna look like on the computer. I'm sitting right in front of it.
It looks good though. What did you want to get his face on there or something?
Kinda, but I don't know how to do it.
Oh, we can see him. We can see him. Yeah.
So that's just like a big piece of cloth or something, huh?
Yeah, I paid $16 for this backdrop.
That's
Oh,
pretty
wow,
cool.
that's a price that's working hard. $15.
$16. The actual stand was 40, but this tapestry was only $16. I'm gonna order another one.
How in the hell do you buy a $40 stand for a $16 picture?
I'm down.
Here's what you do. You get one of these things. I'll see if you can show you. Whoop, 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 whoop. It's one of these things. This is right, and you just stick it up on the wall. This is done. This is a little.
Hold on, I'm gonna get a pillow to sit on so I can sit up a little higher. I feel like I'm down low. Hold on.
There we go. Okay, now I'm going to go back and see if I can change the names. You entertain our guest for a second there, Beans.
Tina, what do you mean she's gone? How can I entertain her?
I'm so excited that y'all got me on y'all's show. I've been a member of your group for a long time.
Yeah, I kind of like what you're doing, except we're green with envy because you got more view counts than we do, and you got a bigger group than we do. Holy moly!
Oh, how y'all been around for a long time. I just came out in 2020. I started having my dogman sightings and encounters. First one I had was in 2013, but I had multiple after that because after that point I knew that there were more dogman out there. I knew that there was more in that area. I said it's not just one back there. Once you see one, you know at that point there's more of them back there.
Yeah, well,
And
once you see one, you got tagged, and that means the other ones know you.
oh yeah, well the first one during that first encounter, like I was telling people on the show, and I would know we're gonna go live, and I'll save it and bring it up again. But when I saw that dog man that night, I knew about dog man already. I listened to Big Condom Show, Brenton Sawn when he was still alive, Dark Waters, all these shows. And hunting season, I would go over there to visit my parents every weekend because my husband was gone for 3 or 4 days. And that particular weekend, like I had no idea, no thoughts in my mind that I'd ever see a dog man, but it was standing there 8.5, 9 feet tall, jet black. It had the upper body of a bodybuilder. It had the pecs. It had the abs. It had those hawk style legs, and it didn't have the amber eyes like everybody talks about. It had you see how like on the StreamYard right now, like we're not StreamYard, you're on Zoom, but there's like that turquoise blue color of the ocean and some of those tropical islands. The eye color was that color, but with light behind it. It was self-luminescent.
Whoa, you were self-luminescence. That's because that particular one was showing you something. That's a teaching. Did you know that?
Is what?
It's a teaching.
Really?
When they show their eyes and the light comes out of their eyes, that's a teaching.
And it wasn't behind a tree or anything like that. It was standing out. I saw its body from head to toe. In that moment, I know that like my car, sometimes what do you call it? The automatic, you know, like when you drive off, the automatic locks and automatically lock up, like it'll lock the doors and stuff.
Right.
At that moment, when I pulled up, I looked straight ahead, like their neighborhood is in front of the woods behind their house. I'm parked next to the curb. I look straight ahead and I'm like, I know that's not what I think it is. And so I put my high beams on. And I have a 2008 Cadillac CTS. And in that particular car, the lights are garbage. The headlights are garbage. So I put the high beams on it to see if my mom was playing tricks on me. When I put the high beams on this thing, it was already standing up on 2 feet. It was never on fours. When I put the high beams on this thing, it basically, I feel like I spotlighted it. And at that moment, it was like, oh shit, like whoever this is right now behind me, they put the spotlight on me. So now I have no choice but to turn around. It turned around, looked straight into the car, into the windshield, and straight into my eyes for like 8 to 10 seconds. And
Yeah, that's when you got tagged.
when it did that, I said, please God. And I don't remember right now whether I said that out loud or whether I said it in my mind, but I said, please God, don't let that thing walk over here. Because this will be one of those times when the doors have not locked. So I would pull up in the driveway at my house. When I would pull up, my husband would walk straight up to the car. And when he would pull up straight to the car, he would come up and just like open the doors. And during those times, I would think to myself, how did you open that door? Because I would, hold on, I'm gonna open this up because I want to go to your group real quick.
Oh, because the motor was running, it was locked.
Well, it was supposed to be locked. Yeah, it was supposed to be locked, but it wasn't locked. He would come up at times, and like after I got off from work, pull up in the driveway, he would open the door. And so in my mind at those moments, I'll be like, oh shit, what if a dog man ever walks up during one of these moments and I think the doors are locked? That thing, I said, please God, don't let that thing walk over here, please. And you know that dog, this will be the one and only time, because I know a lot of people say that they mind speak to them. This will be the one and only time during my experience that I can say mind speak probably happened, because the next thought that came in my head was, oh, it's just you, no big deal. And it turned its back on me casually and continued to walk on down the path the way it was already headed when I pulled up on the curb that night in parts. It was already headed down the path, getting ready to go into the woods. I've been back there in those woods. I know where that path leads to and all that kind of stuff. So it said, oh, it's just you, no big deal. And it took its eyes off me, casually turned around, never went on all fours, and just strode like it's taking a walk to the park and walked back into the woods.
Was that your first experience with a dog man?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting because you got mind speak or a thought placement, which is also mind speak, right? It wasn't a voice, it was a thought.
All I know is I don't know how to explain it. All I know is that in my mind, I said what I said, and then it's like I didn't hear it out. I don't know to say I heard it out loud. It's hard to say because all I know is I got an answer to what I just said.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just no big deal. Like I didn't hear it like I'm on the radio or something like that, or like somebody's talk. Well, I guess
That's still mind speak,
I
though.
heard it in my mind. I heard it
Well,
say, "It's just
yeah,
you."
I mean, mind speak can be a voice, and it can also be a thought that's not yours. So,
Mhm.
but I find that extremely interesting because that tells me that they already knew who you were and that they weren't concerned about it.
Yeah, my parents moved into the house in 1985, so I think I might have been 1985. My sister was two. Was she born then? My sister was born in 82. I was born in 79. We're like 3 years apart, but I'm gonna say that they moved in that house probably about 1985 because my sister was we were there when she was living or whatever at that point, whatever we were at the house, and so I think that either those dog men that are back there in that neighborhood, I think that they've either been there for several years or even if they weren't there for several years, they were there from a certain enough extent long enough to know that I was no threat to them.
Right.
They moved out of the house in 2019. They never believed me about the dog man, and to this day, they still think I'm crazy. So I don't talk to them about it.
My question to you is: do you know? Are you like a Bible person? You up on your Bible verses?
I am a Christian, yes.
Yeah. Do you remember the part where it goes, "In the beginning was the Word"? Remember that one?
Yes, and the word was God, and the word was with God.
And then keep on going. What's the rest of it?
I don't remember the rest of it.
And then nothing was created that wasn't created by the Word. And that Word was made light, and that light is the life of mankind.
Wow.
Okay?
Mhm.
Right? So when the Sasquatch or the Dogman show you light coming out of their eyes, that is the light of life, and that is like the teaching. The teaching is that they are filled with light, like when Christ said, "When thine eyes become single, your whole being will be filled with light." A lot of people don't get this. They don't see that there's a spiritual side to these beings, and
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and it's pretty high. You know what I mean? It's not like they want to associate with demons because they look funny, but really, any being that can like disappear or talk to you in your head and all this kind of stuff that they do, that's not a low vibe animal or something or
I
demon.
know that after that day, I continued at that point because I knew that there's not just one back there. If there's one back there, there's more. So after that day, I continued on to take pictures and videos. And every single time I would be back there, they were always out there. There was not a time, I don't think, that I went outside. That now I know that when I saw that first dog man in November 2013, I know that I can't tell you exactly what day it was. I'm assuming it was a Friday, but it was the Friday before because I kept thinking in my head as I was driving over there, I was thinking to myself, I can't wait till mama gets ready to cook this dressing and turnip greens and ham and chicken and all this kind of stuff. I was thinking about Thanksgiving food. So I know it was in November 2013. And I do remember it was about 8 o'clock at night when I pulled up over there. Are we live now?
Yeah, live. We're
Yeah.
doing live.
I sure hope so.
Okay.
My heart's beating.
Okay. So when I pulled up over there, I just thinking, no, I was looking because I was looking for it in the group because I wanted to get in there and look at the chat and see if people were in the chat too. But yeah, like when I saw the thing, I just thought to myself, I can't believe that I'm looking at this thing right now. It was so big. I'm not good at gauging height or weight or anything like that, but I do know that like my tallest relative, he's about 6.5, about 6 foot, 6'4", something like that. This thing was taller than that. If I had to tell you how close I was to this particular dog man, if I had gotten out of the car and took 60 to 80 steps towards it, then I would have been face to face with it. I can tell you that for sure. I don't remember seeing a tail because I wasn't looking at that. I was so mesmerized with this thing's eyes that the eyes captivated me so much, and tears were rolling down my eyes because I was like, oh, and I know I'm smiling right now, and I kind of do that when I get nervous, but I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I can't believe that the thing that I've been listening to on Dogman Encounters Radio all these years and Brenton Solomon show and Dark Water show, I could not believe that. I'm looking at this right now in real time in small town Athens, Alabama. Like I'm looking at it, it's like right here behind my parents' house right now. Like, so I'm looking at it like, what are the odds of that?
Well,
And
actually, they're not bad. Were you interested in this subject and fascinated with it before you had your sighting?
Yeah. You were tagged way before that. That they knew you from the time you were a little girl, and they're just
wow,
waiting for it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like why would you as a young person watch all these videos on Dogman? There was something poking your feelings to watch it over and this one, watch that one, watch this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Well-
rings true. It rings true because personally, I was always interested in Sasquatch, fascinated with them, obsessed with them. And then eventually they called me to the mountains. They called me and said, go to the mountains. And then my journey with them began. So I truly believe, I'm quite certain that they already had you in mind well before they showed themselves.
I've heard somebody else say that too. I do know that, like I said, my parents moved in that house about 1985. They moved out of there in 2019. I showed them pictures of the Dogman. I've shared some pictures with you earlier, Brian. And when it comes to these creatures, I've learned a lot. I've saw a lot. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like I didn't get this evil vibe. I'm not saying that there's not negative or bad Dogman out there, because I feel like they're probably, they have a personality just like people do. And I feel like their personality that they have, hold on. I feel like the personality that they have is gonna be somewhat you're gonna have good ones and you're gonna have bad ones. You're gonna have negative experiences, just like you would with anything else. The one I saw that night, I never got this evil vibe from it. The windows were up, so I can't say, okay, well, I heard it go silent. I never heard anything go silent. The windows were up in the car. I hadn't got out yet. And I'm thankful right now that I didn't get out of the car right away. Because what I was doing was, I have a suitcase in the back seat. And then, because I'm going to spend 3 days over there, and I had like makeup boxes and a whole bunch of other random stuff over in the passenger seat. And so that night when I put up next to that curb, I did not cut the car off right away. It's still on. I'm scared of the dark somewhat because I know about Bigfoot and Dogman. So I didn't cut the car off right away. So the headlights are still facing the woods, but I'm gathering everything that I can gather, like in the front seat. Some stuff I'm putting in my purse. I'm trying to gather my makeup box, pick that up so that when I get out of the car to go around to the back door to get the suitcase out, I don't have to spend forever trying to get stuff out of the front and back, because I want to get inside as soon as possible. I did have a key to my parents' house. And like I said, I'd never seen a Dogman or any other weird creature back there before, but that night, if I hadn't seen that thing, I would have done like I usually do. I had a key. I would have just went on up the driveway and put the key in the door, or just, rang the doorbell for them to come. I've never been afraid. I remember when I was a kid, I used to go out in the backyard and I would play on the swing set, or I might be outside smoking a cigarette, sitting on the ground in the driveway or whatever as an adult later on. But I never thought I was going to see something like that. I feel like, I don't know how long that thing was there, but I feel like that in that moment, I didn't get this evil vibe from it, but I had tears rolling down my eyes because I was like, I can't believe I'm looking at this right now. I couldn't believe it. I was in awe. The stature, it was black. So if y'all, we're in a like different day and age right now. In the day and age we live in nowadays, like it's like all these street lights and stuff like that everywhere, but in neighborhoods, to light up the neighborhood. But you remember you had back in the day, like the old telephone poles, those big wooden poles, and you got these big telephone lines everywhere and stuff like that. It was like that at the back of their neighborhood. They had this huge telephone pole back there. I think now that might be gone. But so at that exact area where we're standing at in front of this big tree, it actually was blacker than the darkness because there was no, I can't remember right now, but there was no lights back there. This is heading into the woods, but it was blacker than the darkness. It stood up tall. And I know that in North Alabama, where I live at, we don't, they have bears in Tennessee, but we're not supposed to have bears in Alabama. And there have been bears that have migrated down this way, or people have had sightings here and there. But for the most part, we don't have bears in Alabama. I knew, and I was hoping that when I put those headlights on it, that my mom was playing tricks on me, but that wasn't the case. I actually saw what was standing there. And, you know, most hear them talk about DOGMAN. They usually, you'll hear the description of like maybe a Doberman Pinscher, Anubis, or a German Shepherd head. This one didn't have that. It had a head more like a Rottweiler or a Pit Bull. It had more of a broad head. And it had, it didn't have the elongated snout like a wolf or a German Shepherd or any that. It had like the dogs I was just telling you about.
Mhm.
Pit Bull, Rottweiler. It had a shorter snout, very muscular. So once it said what it said to me telepathically, whether it was telepathically or out loud, I heard it in my mind. So either way I heard it, it answered me. After that day, that's when I started taking pictures all the time, and I've captured them on pictures and video.
In my opinion, I don't think it was going to hurt you. I think it was just an introduction. Personally.
Brian, to be honest with you, are you familiar with Kumbo?
For the name.
Oh yeah, Kumbo. Yeah, he's
Kumbo Baker?
a TV guy.
Well, Kumbo
Didn't he?
Baker, he's a big Bigfoot researcher. He used to be Baron Kumbo, and I think they were Bigfoot Outlaw Radio. He used to be on YouTube a few years ago, well, several years ago now. And
Didn't he have a big TV show too with those guys?
I'm not sure. I don't know, but I know that he was real big in this when I back around 2007, 2008, 2009 and on up at a point where him and Bear were together, and I just
Oh
got.
no, I know. Is Kumbo? Is Kumbo? Does he have like a beard like me?
He didn't have a long beard. He has a beard, but it's like a shorter beard.
Yeah, I know who he is. He's real knowledgeable. He's got lots of stories. That guy.
Yeah, he was a NASA scientist for
Right,
Redstone.
that guy.
Yeah, he worked at Redstone Arsenal for NASA. He was a scientist for NASA. Kumbo Kumbo basically lives about 45 minutes away from where my parents lived at. And I have been reaching, since I started my own show and my own group, I actually had been trying to reach out to Kumbo for like 3 or 4 months. And I finally got in touch with him through Mary Fabian. She's also been one of the people that's been out on one of his expeditions with him. And I finally got in touch with him, and I met with Kumbo. And like, I live in Huntsville, Alabama now, Madison, Alabama, Madison County, Huntsville, same thing. And I met with Kumbo, let's say, I can't remember, it was like March or April this year. When I met with Kumbo, what was interesting, I didn't tell him, I told him about my dogman encounter, but I never told him exactly where that dogman was the night that I saw it. The interesting part about this is that when Kumbo came to my parents' old property, when he came there, we were walking and getting ready to head down that trail into the woods. And before we even went all the way back, Kumbo stopped at that tree that it was standing in front of. And there was like an opening between the branches, kind of like where maybe the leaves were kind of sparse on there. And Kumbo looked and he said, "Oh, wow." He said, "A sentinel tree." I said, "A what?" He said, "A sentinel tree." I said, "What is that?" He said, "A sentinel tree is when there's a dogman or Bigfoot or some kind of cryptid or something like that, and they sit in that tree perched on those branches on a regular basis and watch people, their comings and goings, so they can see everything that's going on." And I said, "Well, how do you know that?" He said, "Look at these branches." He parted the leaves of that tree, and when he did, those branches of the tree within that, like kind of like a curtain, he opened it up. He said, "Do you see how there's no bark on that? You see how it's completely clean?" It was slick, like somebody had like shaved that down. He basically parted it and said, "That's a sentinel tree." And I was like, wow. So at that point, I told him about my encounter. Kumbo went underneath it and everything. This is one of those, I can't remember what kind of tree it was. It wasn't a pine tree. I don't know if we call it a fir tree, but it was shaped like a big bush. So I always called it a big bush because the way it was made, it had like a big It was like almost like I like to call it an umbrella effect. Like if any regular animal, like a dog or any fox or coyote or anything like that, that would have been a perfect place to actually go under because it's made like a curtain at the bottom. It was large enough underneath that tree where probably 20 human adults could fit under it. So I can imagine probably about 5 or 6 dogmen could easily sit under their nest and never seen. So when it comes to these things, I do understand. Say for me, for my belief on it, I am a Christian. Biblical aspect to this is because for me right now, that's the only one and only thing that explains it to a degree that accounts for everything that they do, whether it be flesh and blood or the paranormal supernatural aspect of it. I've seen these things go from nothing at all to manifesting and coming into existence before my very eyes. I've seen them do that. And then there's this other aspect of them that I like to call the predator effect. When I say the predator effect, if any of y'all who are in the live chat right now that are watching this, if you've seen the movie Predator, you know what that looks like.
Yeah.
I've seen them do that.
I've seen them too. I've seen Sasquatch walking around me. It's kind of like you can kind of see them, but they're kind of transparent and watery and shimmery. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen Sasquatch walking around me when I was camping out in the woods. And,
oh yeah, they absolutely do that. And then another thing, like I do feel like, we always talk about Dogman and cloaking. Dogman and Sasquatch, they cloak in different ways. I've never seen a Sasquatch. I do have a picture of what I believe to be a Sasquatch that I have for my ex-husband when he would be out in the woods hunting. He didn't know. He took a picture, wanted me to see the landscape of the area that he was at, and sent me a picture from his, what do you call it, like a tree stand where there's a chair up in the tree? Is that a tree stand?
Yeah.
Tree stand, yeah.
Well, he took a picture, just let me see the beautiful scenery around, and I looked at the picture and I was like, oh, shit, like, you didn't realize you had a Bigfoot watching you the whole time? Like, you know how like they'll take branches and stuff like that and kind of bend them back? There was this huge tree like just in the middle of the picture that he was taking. But then there was the tree trunk that was in the middle of that picture he sent. It was dark gray. But the branch that was on the back side of it was looped around from the backside of it, coming at like a boomerang angle around the backside of the tree, and it loops around and comes around the front side of the tree. And then you have this Sasquatch, you can see it where it's like its head is like that. You can see its eyes, you can see its nose, and you see that branch coming around the front of that trunk of that bigger tree. So then part of that smaller branch, like you can just picture a boomerang, part of that smaller branch then disappears, and then you can see the other end of the branch coming out on the other side. And I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell? But when I looked closer, what I saw was that, because I'm like, that don't make no sense. How can a branch be bent around the back of a tree like that and come around the front and then it's bent back? There was a Sasquatch on that picture, and I have to go through my pictures and I'll send that to y'all because I didn't send you that one, Brian. But what I looked closer, if you picture that branch going around the backside of that tree and coming around the front, this is what was on there. It had I saw 4 fingers. My hand's not big enough to show you what I saw, but just 4 fingers. My hand's not big enough, but the palm was down here. Like you see this part of my hand here?
Yeah.
Its hand was down here, and you see the 4 fingers. It's holding that branch, pulling it back. And it was watching him, I guess, in that stand. He never saw it. He never wanted me to talk about it because he said, I don't want to hear anything about any dogman or Bigfoot because I'm out here and I'm trying to enjoy myself hunting and I enjoy this too much and you're going to ruin that experience for me. I don't want to hear it. I said, well, you don't want to hear it, but you need to hear it because when if shit ever hits the fan and you're out there in the woods and you don't know what to do in that moment, at least you'll remember that I at least gave you something to go on to at least know what you're looking at and what's there.
Man, hunters will do that. They're like, they hear a Sasquatch whoop or a tree knock or something. They'll say, "Oh, that's nothing. That's nothing." They want to keep hunting, man. They don't want to have to change their world in the middle of the woods and realize that it's full of mystical creatures.
But I didn't listen to him. I told him anyway, because like I said, I don't care what you say. I mean, I stopped. I didn't continue on to like badger him or give him a hard time about it. But what I did do is basically tell him, I'm just trying to tell you, I won't talk to you about this again, but I'm going to tell you so that you at least hear it once. Because at the end of the day, I've heard plenty of people say, and like I said before, I feel like there's ones with negative aspects to them, negative personalities, just like humans or regular animals. I mean, I don't believe in full flesh and blood aspect or belief or thought process. I don't believe that. They do too many things that's not like natural animals or like humans that can be explained, but not just by putting that as only flesh and blood. I do know that they procreate. I do know that they eat. I do know that they have been shot or killed before. And I know that they have left footprints and they come tapping on people's windows and doors. And so I know that there's the flesh and blood aspect. They have pups and all that. I've seen a pup. I've seen a pup one time.
Oh, wow.
And when I saw that pup, it was red. But when I was watching, look, the field that's behind my parents' house, sometimes they rotate the crops. Sometimes it's soybean field, sometimes it's a cotton field, and sometimes it's a cornfield. But I was watching and I saw something running back there. And I think at this particular day, and I don't remember what year it was now because I've recorded them for so many years and took pictures of them for so many years. I don't remember. And I think I actually ended up deleting that video because it wasn't a good enough quality to even keep it. But I saw something that was red in color, reddish brown. What it looked like was about maybe the size of a fox or something like that. It's the soybean field, and have y'all ever heard when they talk about DOGMAN, they say that they have these weird, jerky, hopping type movements to them?
No, I've had like countless experiences with Sasquatch, but that's the only thing. Well, no, I've had some other interdimensionals, but I've never had an experience with a dogman. I got a family teaching relationship with Sasquatch, so they kind of hog me to themselves, right? But I haven't heard that.
Well, they don't. I've heard this a few times. You don't hear it that often, but I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this to you. When I saw it, what I would do, like my parents' house, they had one of those old ranch style houses, kind of rectangular shape, like the ranch style houses from the 80s. That's how their house was made. They had a lattice carport, and the side of the house, like you have the front side of the house, and then you have like the literal side of the house. So whenever people come over there, nobody came in through the front door. You always come in through the side because you're parking on the curb, and it's right there at the side door. So, but their driveway was at an incline. It had a lattice carport, and then there's an extended driveway off to the side. They had 3 vehicles, so there's all 3 of their vehicles. 2 of them were under the lattice carport, and then my dad's pickup truck would be on the outside with no cover on it. But underneath that carport, like right as you get to the front door, my parents had this huge chest, like huge toy chest or something like that, heavy plastic. And when I would be over there, after I had that first encounter, what I would do is go and actually sit on that toy chest every day because I'm going out there. I'm a smoker, so I'd be out there smoking. And sometimes I'd be out there for 2 hours or more. And this one particular day I was out there, and I'm looking towards the woods, and I got my phone going already recording because I know that I'm probably going to capture something in this picture. Even if I don't see something right now, I might see it after I go back and look at it. But 9 times out of 10, they always show themselves to me, and I a lot of times would see them already before I actually ever saw them when I realized. But on this particular day, what I saw was something red in color. I thought it was a fox at first until it continued to do this weird hoppy, I don't even know how to explain it. If you see a rabbit, how they jump up in the air every now and then, these weird movements that they make. And it's running from like the middle of that soybean field, running to the back, very back where the wood line is back there with all the trees. And when it got back there to those trees, it climbed the tree. And in record time, and I was like, oh, shit, that's not a fox. That's not a fox. So it was small enough for me to say that that was a pup. So it's weird when it comes to these things. My belief on DOGMAN, they're Bigfoot. I mean, not Bigfoot. My belief on DOGMAN is that they are both flesh and blood and supernatural at the same time.
Yeah, I believe that. They're interdimensional and terrestrial, just like Sasquatch. So you mentioned, and before I forget it, because it's kind of interesting, you said that DOGMAN and Sasquatch, they cloak differently. What's the difference? Before I forget it.
No, I think that they both have the same. No, I think that they both have the same ability to cloak the same way.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood you then.
I do think that what I was going to say is that there's different ways that they can cloak. I do understand, and I do know that they are able to camouflage also the same way that a chameleon or a tree frog or snakes, they have that ability too. Sometimes so much so that you cannot tell the differentiation between the Sasquatch and the tree trunk or a tree stump. Sometimes you can't tell the difference because, and what is weird, and this is just my experience, and then this is really weird, and I know it sounds crazy, but whatever they are standing in front of, in some kind of way, I think they have the ability to take on the color of whatever they're surrounded by. Like if they're in front of some green bushes, they can actually look green.
Well, they can shapeshift, so they're capable of doing just about anything. I've seen them looking like a stump till I seen a head going up and down, and then I looked back again in a couple of minutes, about a second, and it was completely gone.
Oh, so, yeah.
And, I've actually, and you're right, I've seen them in a number of different states of cloaking or materialization, or however you want to say it, probably maybe up to a dozen different ways. So, yeah.
Have you seen them look like a mist or a fog? Mist or a fog.
Well, you want to hear something?
Yeah.
I'm laying in my bed. Like I said, I have a teacher-student relationship, a heavy duty, like I'm getting energy when I'm saying that. They're listening right now. I can feel them. So anyway, I'm laying in my bed. This is only one instance, but it's because you said a fog. So I'm laying in my bed. I suddenly see a big foggy cloud of smoke appear in my room. And I wasn't asleep. I had just laid down. And I see this big misty fog come in my room. And then all of a sudden, a huge Sasquatch, my clan leader, Ari is his name, he materialized out of the smoke. I've seen his huge head. He was life-size, and his shoulders. And he just looked at me for about 5-6 seconds, and then he just dissipated. So, yeah. I've
seen that. And I've also seen with DOGMAN, and I'm going to be honest with you, I do feel like that it's a possibility that I don't know for sure. But I will say that there's been times when I've looked at some of the pictures that I have, and I saw something that didn't look like a DOGMAN. It looked more like a humanoid type face. I know that there's times I've looked at some of my pictures and I've seen what sometimes where the head was too big, whether it was a DOGMAN or whether I thought it was a Sasquatch or whether I thought it was a giant, or like what you would say, I guess maybe a Nephilim or something like that. The head was so big that it's like, that can't be right. But you can see full features. You can see the eyes, you can see the nose, you can see the mouth, you can see the brow ridge. Now, as far as DOGMAN is concerned, for the ones I've seen for several years, there's been times when I could see the head, the snout, the eyes, all the upper body, the upper torso down to the waist. And then there's an opening below the branches down below that, but where's the rest of the body? Like the rest of the body is invisible? Well, I've seen that.
Yeah.
And it's scary too, because they also can go completely invisible, and a lot of people don't realize that. I have. Yeah, you've heard about that.
Of course, I've had them. We've had them walking all around us. We can sometimes they'll give you a little scent or something, or you can hear them talking or breathing. So yeah, they can be walking right around you, completely invisible. I've actually even had one go right inside of me.
Really?
Yeah, right inside of me, and he checked me out. But I completely trust them because I've never had a bad experience with them. Like it's like I trust them more than I do human being. But this guy went right inside of me and checked me out, and it felt like a light switch went on. It was a weird feeling, but he was just really looking me over good.
I have, I told y'all like when I'm gonna go sit down in that toy box, once I knew they were there, I kind of became obsessed with researching these things and trying to make sense of it because the human mind wants to rationalize it and make sense of it.
I completely trust them because I've never had a bad experience. What happened there?
Can you hear me?
Who's got the sound going? Is that you, Beans?
Oh yeah.
You're not a professional like me. I always turn my.
Not a professional.
I got my media turned off.
Yeah,
I'm a being.
I put my mute on when I do stuff like that. Well, we've only had 120 shows, so you'll learn eventually.
Well, I've seen them. I've witnessed them do a lot of weird stuff. Now, a lot of the times when I be out there sitting outside, I mean, it was just comfortable. I'm a smoker, and I'm gonna tell y'all something about that in a few minutes. But I know that on a few occasions, one of the things that I thought was strange was that I don't know why, but for whatever reason, there's the one I call Anubis, or the black German Shepherd head dog, man. And I sent you that picture earlier, Brian.
By the way, I've got those pictures, so we can bring them up when we want to. I can share a screen with them here, so we'll bring them up in a bit. So go ahead. German Shepherd dog face.
The German Shepherd Anubis dog, man. That's what I called that particular one. I saw it on 2 separate occasions. And whenever I would be outside smoking, regardless, I don't know if it had anything to do with that, but I'm going to say it probably did. I've heard from some Native Americans, and I've heard from a really big podcaster in the cryptid community that a couple of things that draw them in are tobacco and cologne. Every single time that I ever had any of the sightings or videos, pictures, anything I ever caught, I was always outside smoking. I don't know if they were drawn to that or if they were just drawn to me. You had said earlier that you felt like maybe they had tagged me. I've heard somebody else say that before, and I didn't know what that meant.
There's no doubt about it.
Okay, well, I never felt any threat. They always, you know how people back in the day, now everybody has a wooden fence. But back in the 80s and the early 90s, people had chain link fences. A lot of the times, you don't see that much. But they had a chain link fence. But so outside of their front door, I'm sitting on that box, and then like I could go into the gate to go into the backyard if I wanted to, and then of course walk from the front of the yard to the back end of the back fence. On the other side of the fence, walk across the field just a little bit, and that one spot where that where the tree line comes to the front, like close to their backyard. They like to stand in that particular spot. And maybe that's because that's in direct line with where I was sitting at. And they are so hard to make out a lot of times. And I could see them, but what confuses people a lot of times when you're looking at Dogman or Bigfoot is that they are able to remain so completely still that unless you're taking multiple shots back to back, like real quick, you can capture those movements in pictures. It might be looking straight ahead one minute, and then the next minute it might have his head cocked like that a little bit, or it might be on one picture with both eyes open, and then the next minute the eyes are closed or one eye is open, or you will see different things with them. A lot of people don't realize that Dogman, and I don't know about Bigfoot, but I know that Dogman will sometimes move with the movements of the wind. If the tree leaves are blowing and stuff like that, they will casually move with that so much to the point where you will not notice their movements unless you are aware that that's what they're doing. So I do have a video of that particular Dogman. Also the one that, and I don't think I differentiated that one for you. I think I did tell you earlier that I called that one German Shepherd or Anubis. That one.
I think if they're working with you, which they obviously are, because you're doing what you're doing now, you don't have to be afraid of them. If anything, they will protect you, is my opinion. That's my experience.
Say, Bettina, do you know this lady named, see if I can find her name. Denise Counts?
Yes, she's one of my members of my group, and she's subscribed to my channel. She said,
yeah, give a shout out to her, because she was trying to get in, and she thought this was StreamYard, but it's really so we don't have the same kind of chat room. So
Hey,
she was all,
Denise Counts, thank you so much for showing up tonight. Stuart Clark, thank you for showing up too. I really appreciate y'all tonight. Marvin Allen, thank you for showing up. Some of the people in the group, I didn't know, I wasn't sure if this was gonna go live on YouTube or what, but I usually try to share it in multiple groups whenever I go live to let everybody know to
Yeah.
go over to the YouTube channel. That's why I think I asked Brian earlier, like, y'all going live on YouTube? Because like,
no, we do live on Facebook.
We're gonna try YouTube though. We
you
want to
need
try it.
to.
We want to
You
try it.
should.
Yeah, we're gonna
Because
try it.
y'all have a great show, Brian, and I think you definitely should. You're too big not to be over there. I wasn't gonna go live originally.
He does
Y'all
it.
are too important
He
not
edits
to be
them.
over there.
All of our stuff is on YouTube, but he edits them and puts them on instead of live. He puts it on afterwards with an edit.
Yeah, I do a little intro and
He puts a half-hour intro in it, and that's why.
Oh, I don't. Not anymore. I used to have a huge, great, big, complicated intro with all, but now it's just like a short little intro. But
Well, if you like to enter it, but if you like, y'all are big. To me, y'all are big time. Y'all big money. If
we're all
y'all big money in this.
don't tell Mr. Beans that he's already the world's handsomest man. He doesn't need any more glory.
Big head.
Nope, y'all need to be. Y'all need to be out there and like promoting your stuff because you have a great show. Don't y'all basically interview people about multiple things paranormal? I mean,
Not really, not really. Mostly we try to stay, the last 2 years we've been trying to stay focused on people who are friends and had a spiritual connection to Sasquatch. So that's like a small sampling of a group, right? If you did the paranormal and the ETs and the past life and the near death, if you added all that in there, you'd have an unlimited amount of content. We're going to maybe expand on that though.
Yeah, we do a little bit. We do a little bit of we've had like UFO experiencers on, and because like to me the Sasquatch have a message, and it's very similar to the ET message, the benevolent one. So it's all kind of interrelated anyway. So yeah, we branch off a little bit. And actually, I'm thinking of doing a YouTube show that's just going to be just about pretty well covering everything.
I think that you definitely should because to me, when it comes to this stuff, like I was talking, I'm going to have two females on the show tomorrow night. One of them is kind of, I think she might be like a psychic medium or a remote viewer. And there's another lady who is friends with her. They have their own group, Blondes and Booze. And they basically, the conversation I had with them was so deep. It was interesting. When I say when it comes to Bigfoot, DOGMAN, the paranormal, all of these things, what do you call it? Aliens, UFOs, that stuff, there's a connection between all of it. It's all intertwined. A lot of the DOGMAN and Bigfoot sightings, a lot of times you will hear people also say, well, I've had sightings of UFOs before, or I've been abducted by aliens before, or I've seen lights in the sky in the woods at the same time when I saw DOGMAN.
Or I had a near-death experience and opened me up. That they say that I opened up by my near-death experience, and now I can talk to fairies.
Absolutely.
Actually, I just did a list because I'm writing a book. So I just did a list of, and I could have come up with more of 33 things that I experienced and brought back with me from a big download from the Sasquatch. I called it my Love Zap. 33 things that my experience had in common with people who have near-death experiences, like opening up gifts, a big universal knowing, all that kind of stuff. It was very, very similar. So, there really is a connection between it all.
A lot of people who are watching podcasts and live shows about DOGMAN and Bigfoot, they're listening to it for entertainment purposes. Originally, that's why I started out listening to it. I started out back in around 2008 listening to Sasquatch Chronicles and several other Sasquatch shows. So I believed in Bigfoot first. And so the first time I ever came across DOGMAN, before I actually watched the video, it's going to show you suggested videos. And I kind of bust out laughing, and I was like, they just reaching right now. They're going to put, this is retarded. But I clicked on it, and the more shows that I listened to, the more eyewitnesses that I heard talk about it, the more I was like, oh, wow, So you mean to tell me there's something out there right now that looks like a damn werewolf out there in the woods? Like there's some shit like that out there. And the crazy part about it too is that they told us monsters aren't real.
Yeah.
And I understand like y'all are coming from a place too where you feel like that maybe they're not all negative, and I don't think that they're all negative. I don't know, but I know the ones I've encountered have not been. But I do feel like
You know why that is?
Why?
Because you're not negative. I think that they will give you back what you give them. You know, I think that some people who, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but some people who have negative interaction with them, it's because they're going out there shooting and they don't have any idea of the spiritual side of them. They're disrespecting them. They're treating them like they're animals and whatever. I mean, if you go in there with an open heart, treat them well, respectful, and that you're going to have a much different interaction. Now, I'm not saying that they're all good and bad. They're people like we are.
Okay.
So, you know, they have various personalities or whatever, but I think I'm pretty confident that if you go in there and say, hi, I am Bettina Moss, or I'm Port Cunningham or whatever, and I'm open to meeting you, and you have an open heart, you're going to get a way different reaction than, you know, somebody thinks I can't wait to shoot this thing, you know, and prove that they exist or that kind of thing. You know, it's going to be totally different.
And what a lot of people also probably aren't thinking about or realizing, you can't come from it only as a point. Too many people are out there and only looking at this as just something to listen to on their drive to work or get them through the day and for entertainment purposes. And they're not paying attention to the common denominators on Sasquatch Chronicles and on World Bigfoot Radio and all these different cryptid channels. You need to be paying attention. If you're really trying to learn and make sense of these things, then you need to understand that you need to be putting common denominators together, be creating a profile of these things. When it comes down to it, we know that they're able to cloak, whether that be in camouflage form and completely blend in with their surroundings so much so that you can't tell them from the tree. They can also go completely invisible, not even, and I'm not talking about the predator effect, like I like to call it. I'm talking about completely invisible. You can't see them at all.
Right.
Then you got the predator effect, and then you got what I would like to call the smog or the fog type, mist type appearance. I've got pictures of that too.
Or like a shadow. You see a shadow with a shape, and
you know how the
Brian's got 12 of them. He's got 12 different modalities that they can go into. It's like the shadow man, and then there's smoke, and then there's white
the
smoke,
orb,
dark smoke.
the orbs too.
Orbs, yeah.
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 And certain different kinds of shape shifting that they can do.
What I was talking about with that smog or whatever, that look, when I said smog, I should have said smog, mist or fog. It has a white cloud type of appearance in front of its face, but I'll show y'all that picture after the show because I don't think I sent that one to Brian. But there's one where it has like a cloak in front of its face, and I guess that particular one that was in that tree, which was the sentinel tree that I told you that Kumbo had pointed out, on that particular one, it had that, I'm gonna call it the fog or mist in front of its face, but you could still see its eyes and you could still see its snout. Now, there was, and I'm gonna tell y'all another thing too, because I think I've shared this on some shows before, but I never really went into it. The weirdest thing that I've ever experienced as far as these things are concerned is that sometimes when I be out there smoking, because I'm always sitting on that box, because that was just the perfect spot, because that was just the perfect spot. I want to sit on the box and smoke. But sometimes I wouldn't take my phone and point it straight at them and start recording. Sometimes I would just sit there and smoke, and knowing that maybe, let me just see what I can catch on audio. I would put it on video record, but I wouldn't have the video on. I would just basically be doing it to see what kind of audio I captured. On probably about 2 or 3 different occasions, the strangest thing that I ever experienced with that was not hearing it in real time, but after going back inside the house, listening to a 12 or 13-minute video and actually hearing something that was not heard or seen in real time when I was sitting out there. Hearing something is as if, Brian, like if I came up to you to tell you a secret in your ear and I reached forward to tell you, it's that close. Hearing something that's bigger than a dog sniffing, snorting, and grunting like right here next to my head.
Yeah, that's not unusual. That happens. One thing is because time is not linear for them. They can access the past, the present, and the future all in the now moment.
It was strange because at that moment,
It's not unusual to be grunt at you. It's not unusual to sniff at you.
hilarious.
Hey, by the way, you want to hear something hilarious?
Yes.
A couple of my friends went out into my. Well, I just had a heart attack, so I can't go for. I'm doing well.
I remember that.
And I didn't really have any heart damage, but I'm still a little fatigued. So I couldn't go like 8 miles back into the woods like 2 weeks afterward. But my friends went into my area and whatever. And the first night, one of the guys had a cougar. It was stupid because they were right on the game trail and they saw cougar tracks there, but they set their tents up there anyway. So this guy's sleeping at night in a hammock, and a cougar came right up and right underneath the hammock and sniffed his his butt. That would freak you out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But I guess he didn't like what he smelled and he just kept going.
That is hilarious. Oh my God, no. Well, see, people, I mean, my thing is like at one point I wanted to go hiking and I wanted to go camping at some point out in the woods. But I just basically now the only way I would feel comfortable going out into the woods, because I'm one of the panelists in Josh Turner's DOGMAN Cryptid Conference on August 13th in Paris, Tennessee. And I think that's about 20 or 30 miles from the LBL. Y'all, I'm sure y'all have heard about the LBL dogman encounters, right? The dogman that killed like the family of four.
I've heard of it. Yeah, it's a very strange story because it's not normal for any I've never heard any cryptid do that, but it just something weird happened there.
Well,
That's not normal behavior for the cryptid world.
Do you want to tell us the story and what did they? Nobody deserves to be killed like that, but what were they doing prior?
The government blamed it on perfume.
I think, yes, I did hear that. I think that the father had on cologne, and from what I've heard it's different accounts of the story, but I think that the father or somebody was out there. I can't remember if they were chopping wood or what they were doing, but I do believe that they were on vacation and they just decided to camp out. It was a father, a mother, a son, and a little girl. I don't know the ages of the kids or the parents at the time when this happened, but they were camping out. They had an RV out there in the woods, and and basically what we know is that the father, I believe, was attacked first. The son tried to escape and get away when he saw his father being attacked by this particular dog man. He tried to run back and get into the RV, but the dog man chased him down and got him before he got a chance to get inside of it. But the dog man did end up finally getting inside of it. I don't know if it ripped the door off or if the mother didn't lock the door and to keep it from getting into the RV. But either way, the dog man got in there. And from what I've heard from Jody Cook and Nick Valente and a few others, she fought this thing tooth and nail all the way down to where the bones in her finger were like sticking out. Like she put up a hell of a fight trying to keep this thing out of there or for killing her. Now, when the state troopers and law enforcement came to, the reason that they came was because, and I haven't gotten to the little girl yet, but the reason that they came was because there was some other people who were campers out there, and they drove up on the scene of this crime or of these deaths and saw the blood and gore and all that out there. And so they went back, I guess, and reported it to park rangers. And when they got out there, that is when they saw all the carnage on the outside of the RV. The father did, they saw the son did, got inside of the RV, and they found the mother dead, and I told you like the state of her body or whatever, her fingers and stuff like that. They said that it was like a bordello of blood in there, like somebody took like a bucket of blood and pretty much poured it over everything. That's how bad it was. And then on top of all that, you have the situation where there's the little girl. They didn't know that there was a little girl at all until they went further back into the RV, and I think it's like another doorway, a closed off area in the back, and they found little girl's clothing. So at that point, they knew it was a family of 4. So they went out looking and trying to search and find this little girl's body. And when they found her body, it was 30 to 40 feet up in a tree, hanging over, like kind of draped over, like or looped over like a branch, partially eaten. Now, some accounts say that those dogmen that killed the little girl or killed that family were actually hunted down, and the way some people tell the story. Some people say there was 2 dogmen that were there. Some people say it was werewolves. Either way, that was the most horrendous. I do know that the mom and pop store, the police officer, actually, I forgot, I left out a point. When they went out there looking for the little girl's body, according to what I've heard throughout the years, there was a state trooper. He had on his state trooper's hat. There's other people like that out there that he's having a discussion with. They're looking for that little girl's body, and he literally felt something landing on his hat and kind of coming down. I guess it started dripping on his face, and he looked up, and that's when he saw the body there.
Oh my God.
The officers who were there on the scene, I guess, would this LBL's in Kentucky, and I think also borders Tennessee. When the family was attacked, the officers that were at the scene at that time were basically told to stand down when these secret agencies, secret officials, whoever that came in to investigate this case. And it's always weird to me, like, who called people? Who told them to come in? How do they know to show up? But my answer or my theory on that is that they already know about Dogman. They already know about Bigfoot, and they already know that when a report comes through and these certain creatures might be the culprits of the killings or the attacks or whatever sightings that people have had, I think that they have already told, and I've heard this on several shows, podcasts, eyewitness accounts, that where there was times when park rangers have actually told different people, even police officers told them, we know about these things, but we've been told not to talk about it. So it gets swept under the rug. So in those cases, they knew to come in. How do we know that before 1982 or whatever year this was when this happened, it was in the 80s? How do we know that they didn't already know about these things before that? I think that these park rangers and I think eyewitnesses, and even still to this day, I've had a couple of eyewitnesses to talk about the fact of them being out there in the LBL and actually seeing dogmen while they were out there. I talked to a guy a few days ago, and I'm going to have him on the show as well, but he actually had told me about a dogman that actually was last month. I get so caught up sometimes I interview so many people, but a dogman that was out there that actually decapitated this man, and I can't remember if the man was on a motorcycle, a dirt bike, or an ATV. Whatever he was on, he was driving past, I don't know, the wood line or wherever this dogman was standing. It reached out and basically with its arm or hand or claws or whatever, it took that man's head off. The person who told me this is a credible witness to the point where he's, and I know his credentials and stuff like that. He doesn't want to even come on shows or talk about it. He wants to be kind of incognito and keep this stuff under wraps. He actually said that there's no, but the story that came out was that this cyclist or guy who was on the RV, basically they were saying, the law enforcement put out that he ran into a barbed wire fence at a high speed and it decapitated him. But the thing is that the person who told me this was there at the time when it happened with that. I don't know if he was there with that person. He was there at the time when it happened, and he saw the guy get decapitated by a dog man.
He actually saw it in real time.
He actually saw it in real time.
Wow.
Somebody else I was talking to a few days ago, Bigfoot researcher. He's a Bigfoot researcher. And I talked to him and I wanted to get him to be a guest on my show. And I said, do you, I do my shows on mostly Dogman, but my group is called Cryptonormal Encounters with B. Moss because I called it Cryptonormal because I wanted my show to be about cryptids and paranormal, and also because of the fact that cryptids to me are cryptids or flesh and blood and paranormal at the same time. It's just that really right now, a lot of people, for the most part, I think that they probably think that I'm only about cryptids. No, it's just that most people share only about cryptids, and that's it. But I'll do cryptid and paranormal. Now, there's some weird things when it comes to this. You said that you never heard of any cases where there's been attacks or where people have been killed.
Not personally.
There's
And,
some.
I mean, the clan I deal with, they're the most loving. I mean, they're just like, you could search high and low to find a person that's got as much integrity and love and as them. So, but you know, like obviously these kind of things do happen from time to time.
Yeah. I think sometimes wrong place, wrong time. I think that are you familiar with Greg Yost? Squatch?
Yeah, Greg, we
Yeah, we got him on next week.
Yeah, I love
Greg. Our next guest.
Greg is awesome. I love him.
Him and I are totally on the same page as far as
Squatch Man, Journey to the Truth. I created Greg's group for him. I like to call Greg Duck Dynasty. Greg got that Duck Dynasty, Greg Yost.
I don't think Brian knows that one, but it's funny.
Well, Greg said that he feels like the Sasquatch. What do you call them? The forest people. I think he said that. He said, I think that they basically probably look at me like I'm one of them. He said, I'm 6'6". I was like, damn, Greg, you that tall? I mean, he said, I'm hairy too. And I was like, well, I guess so. And Greg got that kind of growly, raspy voice too when you're talking to him. I love Greg to death.
So, well, he's probably family to them in some way. And
he said he was. He said they're his elder brother, but I love Greg to death.
I mean, they just read his energy and know what he's all about. That's why they love him.
Greg goes out there. He goes out, he feeds them, he takes some stuff. I think he said he goes out there unarmed. So I think that they can just feel his energy. I think that they can tell when a person is good or bad. And I think that they basically go from that or go by that. And just basically, I do feel like that Bigfoot and Dogman do choose who to show themselves to.
Of course.
But I also feel like that there are times that some people actually happened upon them by accident.
So let me ask you something. Do you think dogmen and werewolves are the same thing? Do you think werewolves were dogmen? Is that how the legend of werewolves started?
I think that, let me think about that. I have a few thoughts about that, and I'm kind of confused on that. A few years ago, I'm gonna say probably a couple of years ago, Jeff Nadoni came out with the show, and he had this guy called Victor on the show. And Victor was supposed to be this government agent who was contracted to go out and hunt dogmen and bring them in, ones that had gone rogue and claimed to know different areas or different places where they are, different encounters, and teaching people everything that he could teach and talk about as far as dogman were concerned. He had what he called the big three: Dogman, Bigfoot, and werewolves. He gave an explanation. He said that people who were werewolves were born that way, but I can't remember right now because there was so many shows on that, and I don't remember the details on it. But what we know from Hollywood movies is when it comes to werewolves were supposed to be a human who had been bitten by another werewolf who at the full moon was able to turn into a werewolf themselves. Do I believe that werewolves need a full moon? If werewolves exist, do I believe they need a full moon to manifest? No. I do feel like that through witchcraft, Satanism, voodoo, and other practices, shamanism, and even the skinwalker deal, a skinwalker is a werewolf if it goes into the wolf form, because what comes with that is the blood sacrifices, selling your soul, and all kind of other things that come with that in order to become a werewolf, if we're talking about a werewolf in the sense of what Hollywood is. Dogman, I think that they are born that way. but according to some people, werewolves are born through what do you call it? Like trying to think of the right word for this. Generationally, throughout their family lineage, they are a family of werewolves and they're born that way. I don't know how I feel about it completely. I do know that the whole thing of the Hollywood version of a human being able to turn into a werewolf, I do know that that is possible. From what I've heard from people who have delved into the occult or witchcraft or what do you call it, like the demonology and stuff like that. Yeah, I do think that that's possible. I do know, like within the Native American tribes, the shamans and stuff like that, or what you would call like the medicine man or the witch doctor, they have, and I've had a few members of my group to actually reach out to me behind the scenes that were Native American that were like, please don't bring up my name. I'm talking to you about this personally, but don't bring up my name. We're not allowed to talk about this within our tribes. That have actually witnessed family members or friends literally turn into something else. So yeah, I think that werewolves and dogmen are a completely different thing. I think that dogmen are, in my view, I said flesh and blood and supernatural. I'm gonna call dogman for my beliefs. And anybody who's watching this live right now, I'm coming from a Christian standpoint, and y'all don't have to agree with this or believe this, but this is just my opinion. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. I believe that they're both flesh and blood and paranormal at the same time. So for me, they are Nephilim. The Nephilim.
They're Nephilim, did you say?
I believe they're Nephilim. I reached out to
because of the fact that they can, because of the fact that they're terrestrial and interdimensional.
Because the flesh and blood side of it, because we know that they can have pups, we know they can procreate, we know that they can be killed, we know that they have killed some people, and we do know that they do eat and hunt and everything else, so they are flesh and blood. But at the same time, they're also paranormal too, because you have never at any point in time seen your dog cloak and go full predator mode. You have never at any point in time seen your dog, like you take your dog outside to go take it, use a bathroom, and it's mud out there on the ground. You never seen your dog walking and you seen its footprints, and then all of a sudden the footprints just stop out in the middle of the field or out in the middle of the yard. Ain't no tree for it to jump up in where you can explain that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look, what about Christ? Christ would go invisible and Christ would come back cloaked. They'd say, I don't know who you are, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm going like, well,
Absolutely.
that's not a Nephilim. That's like just a really high being who's gone transcended and come back in. So that Nephilim is not a guarantee.
No, that's just my that's just my theory. But hold on, I want to speak. Hold on, Brian, because I want to speak on what he said. I like that. He got deep right now. I love it.
See, the thing is
remember when his disciples said they didn't recognize him, and he had to say, "Look here, this is who I am." They didn't recognize him.
Yes.
Right? So he was cloaked. He was in a different image or a different kind of a
yes.
frequency.
I love it. You remember he was talking to Thomas, and he told Thomas, "See that I am flesh and bone," but at the same time, he was a spirit too.
Right. And then he disappeared. And they say and then he was no more.
And some people believe in like what you're saying right now, like the Christ consciousness. And if you believe in Christ consciousness, or you believe in Buddha or Hare Krishna or any of that kind of stuff, whatever resonates with you, whatever you believe, whatever you feel like that. I have more than one theory. That's just the only one. That is the most outstanding one for me that answers all of it. Because if you look, there's been 66 books taken out of the Bible. 66 books, probably more than that. And the book of Enoch, the book of Jasher, the book of Giants, the book of Enoch and Jasher and the book of Giants went way deeper than Genesis 6 did when it was talking about the things that was coming up on the earth. It went way deeper than talking about, because people think that when it comes to what the Nephilim or the sons of God in the Old Testament, the sons of God were the angels. It wasn't until later on when Jesus came and walked the earth, supposedly that the humans were called the sons of God, those who accept them. So in the old times, like the sons of God were the angels. The angels came in. Now in Greek mythology, they called them the Titans or the renowned ones, or There's different Bible versions that call them different things, but different cultures throughout the world, Native American culture, Kukulkan, or Hercules in the Greek, and what was it? It's just so many different names when it comes down to this. So all the cultures of the world have stories of giants. So if you have a history channel, call them the Anunnaki, or call them different stuff, or the aliens and stuff like that. So, and some cultures call them gods or demigods.
Those
So
guys are real. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
no, like I'm trying to bring it full circle and say that people call them different things at different times. So if the result of a god, demigod, Anunnaki, alien, whatever you want to call it, has sex with a human woman, then you have a giant as the result of that. What do you think is going to have if that same supernatural being has sex with or procreates with an animal? You're going to have the same thing, because during that flood, it said all creation had corrupted its way up on the earth. So he wiped out the animals too. I'm like, at one point I was like, well, what did the animals do? But according to the book of Enoch, they also came into animals as well. And if that's the case, I don't know if that was through some type of genetic splicing.
Well, yeah, that's that. I get you. I understand that argument because, like, I've been there, done that, got the little T-shirt. But you got to look at, like, say,
Did he say I got the little T-shirt?
I got that T-shirt. Yeah. Then you think, look at Anubis, right?
Yes.
Anubis was like one of the major gods of Egypt for 14,000 years. Christ was a god for 2,000 years. And Hanuman, who is the god of devotion, the god who teaches devotion, he teaches faith in God. He was that went back at least another 7,000 years, right? And that would be like 5,000 years before Christ. And Christ even quoted a Hanuman story. I don't know if you know that, but he quoted a Hanuman story.
I hadn't heard of Hanuman.
Hanuman is, a mountain monkey man, right? There's the Ramayana, and the Ramayana is the whole story about how the humans and the Sasquatch type beings fought the demons, right? So that was the war. Actually, that was actually the war in Lemuria. But what happened was in the story, Hanuman needed to go get some herbs from the top of this mountain, and then by the time he got to the mountain, in order to heal Lord Ram's brother, right? And by the time he got to the top of the mountain, he forgot what kind of herbs it was. Mm-hmm. So he picked up the whole mountain and brought it to Lord Ram, so that the healer lady could pick the right herbs for us, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where Christ, and that is where Christ said later on, like what it was 5,000 years later, he said, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can say to the mountain, come, and it will come. Mm-hmm. That's directly from the Ramayana. So these people are not, they're not some kind of hybrid slapped together nothing. They are part of the original creation. They're part of they're part of what's going on here. Like all living beings are part of the creation. There's no we want to push something down as lower and less than. That's not the way the game's played at all. Everything is equal. Everything is holy. That's made by God.
I like your thought process. I'm not staunch, and I'm not ever one of those type of people that won't have different people on the show. I want everybody to get a voice. I want everybody to come and speak their truth on it. Some people believe, whoever, like if you believe they're only flesh and blood, if you believe that they are interdimensional, if you believe that they're aliens from another planet, I want everybody to be able to get their thoughts out there. Right now, the Nephilim theory is the one that makes sense to me the most, but at the same time, I have other considerations too. Sometimes I kind of wonder, are they interdimensional beings? Are they another race from some other place? Are they in other books, which I think Enoch talks about that, and just covered up? There's a lot of stuff that's been taken out. Oh yeah, it's a lot. A lot of people like this, Christians, don't even realize that there is way more than 10 commandments. I think it was like 400 to 600.
I know. I'm married. I've got about 15 just from my wife. And
People-
growing every day. No, I'm just joking.
But people don't realize there's so much stuff that's been covered up. They done lied to us about so much. It's like at this point, you don't know what to do with it. What is true and what's not true? What's been taken out? What's been covered up? And it's a huge cover up when it comes down to it. And when it comes
and denial, which is occulting, denial of this truth, denial of the real story.
Yeah.
The story's all been changed all the time.
Yeah. Some of these beings are so powerful. I've actually witnessed them. I witnessed an omnipotent Sasquatch being appear. There's a big story behind this, but beings have heard it so many times, I'm not going to bore you. And so is people on this show. But they can. I saw one come in orb form that formed into an entity in smoke and mist and whatever. And the big lesson I got from that, like they're powerful. They're so evolved. The big lesson I got from that is that it was bringing its consciousness in. I'm getting lit up with energy again. They like me talking about this. It was bringing its consciousness in from different points of consciousness. So in other words, it could be here, there, and everywhere, almost like a godlike kind of thing. You know, they say God is everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not saying these beings are gods, but this one that I saw brought its consciousness in from multiple points of consciousness. So that's why, you know, like I've had Sasquatch listening in on conversations that I've been talking about. You can feel their energy. And they can also be listening in on the other person that you're talking to, or they can actually have 2 or 3 people involved in something and bring them together for something that they want to show you. So they're just so powerful.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, and I look at it and I think about the fact, like, it's interesting what you said. I think that these things have been around for thousands of years. They may have been here longer than us. I do feel like that there are still some that to this day that there is some gene splicing going on. I do think that the government does have, you know, people say, well, when is it going to be that we find out more about DOGMAN or Bigfoot? When is the government going to come forward? We don't need the government to come forward. They already know what does it take to prove it? They already know that these things exist. If they didn't know they exist, then why is it that in Washington State and New York State that it's actually in their laws that it's illegal to kill a Bigfoot? That's like saying it's illegal to kill a leprechaun.
Yeah,
They know that these things exist already. They're not going to put it out there.
I think there's a couple of reasons why. There's a number of reasons why they don't want to let us know they exist. One is that, like, for instance, the ones I deal with, they're teachers. They teach us a universal love, and you know, they will give you. I mean, they've given me the knowing of how we can go through a transition shift with love, no judgment, no fear, no division, all the lies that keep us in that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. They are introducing us to, and I mean, you know, the government and the people, you know, the a-holes that are running this planet right now, they don't want people to know that they're all connected and all one. Then they won't have any fear and they won't be able to control us. So that's one of the reasons they don't want them known.
Now, why do you think it is that? So, do you think I'm sure both of y'all understand they know these things exist. Why do you think that they want this stuff covered up? What is your theory on that?
Well, that's just what I said. They don't want their truth, their love, their message to get out to us so that we realize that we're not all divided. Because if we come together in this, in love, it can't be controlled anymore. They don't want that. You know?
Are you a Christian at all?
I believe in Christ. I don't believe in some of the things in the Bible. Like I don't believe in heaven and hell. I think that's bullshit myself, but I do believe in Christ. But they've got a message, and you know, guys like the handlers or whatever you want to call them, they don't want that message out there because then they're gonna lose their grip. They're gonna lose their control.
Do you believe personally, and I know you feel pretty good about them, but now my experience is I can be honest with you right now and tell you that I have never with not Bigfoot, So I've never, other than that picture with my ex-husband that he sent to me, that's the only time I can actually say, oh, now I'm looking at a Bigfoot right now. So he's taken. But I've never seen it with my own eyes. Dogman, I've seen those for a period of 6 or 7 years, on up to 2019, 2020. But what I will say is this: I do feel that there is a cover up. I feel like that they don't want people to know about the cover up. I feel like that they stand to lose a lot in state and national parks. I feel like that some of the aspects of different things, whether it be biblical, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of these things that we're seeing today, like Dogman, Bigfoot, and reptilians and Goatman, a lot of that stuff is actually in the Bible. Now, not as far as where it calls Dogman, or Bigfoot, but I do know that in the book of Isaiah, the satyr is actually in there, and today we call that Goatman. And one of my theories that I came up with within the last year or so is, and I don't know, like, some stuff in the Bible, I'm a Christian, but some stuff in the Bible is fantastical to the point where looking at it from a rational mind today, it makes me question some things. The serpent that appeared to Eve, its curse was that because it had deceived Eve, was to crawl on its belly for the rest of its days. To me, that serpent wasn't like a regular snake that's depicted like you see like on the children's books or like on TV or movies or commercials. It wasn't that. If its curse was to crawl on its belly for the rest of its days, then what was it doing before? Was it on all fours? Was it walking on 2 feet before? What we do know is that that serpent was able to talk and have some type of communication with Eve and rationalize and reason with her. It was talking to her. Eve didn't find that.
And what did it say? What did it say?
But hang on a second. It might not have been, hold on a second. It might not have been talking to her like audibly. It was probably talking to her through mind speak.
Either way, your dog ain't ever mind spoke to you, have it?
And
no, well, we obviously know it wasn't just a regular serpent or a snake.
No, like, right. No, I'm trying to make a point there. So if that's, I'm going to tell you too, Frank, like, yeah, I'm going to tell you what it said. But my point is that she wasn't reasoning or having a conversation with your regular snake, dog, bird. She had a conversation with something with a higher level of consciousness.
Yeah.
Something that was able to rationalize and reason, and its curse was crawling the belly for the rest of the days. It told her that, has God really told you that the day that you eat of the fruit of good and evil, that you should surely die? You shall not surely die. Once you eat of this fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, you will be as God, just like God.
As equal to God. Right. And what did the God say? The God says, we can't have that because then they will be equal to us. And but those particular gods weren't the actual God in heaven. They were the Anunnaki God. And it's this Anunnaki pressure of like the pyramid structure with them at the top and us at the bottom. And, that's what the whole Kabbalah is all about. That's what the Hermes was all about, is to give us the knowledge that we can govern ourselves, that we can be equal to gods. And what did Christ say? I and my Father are one. I and my brother are one. Right? Mm-hmm. That's where we're going, and that's what Christ and the Sasquatch say. We live in the all one.
Yeah.
Everything is one, and we live in no space. And that is exactly what Christ said, and they wanted to get rid of him. And that's what's been said throughout the ages, is there's this all one kind of a thing. And that's why whenever I hear people say, oh, these are demons and these are Nephilim, these are this is lower, and all that kind of crap, there's a oneness to all things. The trees, the rocks, the air, the dogs, the animals, the birds, everything is one. And you need to look at it that way before we start compartmentalizing and saying, well, we're higher than they are, or we're chosen. And well, how do you know they were chosen before us?
I believe Christ said we're all one too. I think he has the exact same message as the Sasquatch do. All one, all connected. We're all energy beings, intimately connected through energy, and we affect each other by our actions, our thoughts. We shape our reality. I think Christ said the same thing, but it's kind of been misinterpreted in a different way. But I think he said the exact same thing that I've gotten, you know.
So do you think that there's been times when they have killed or attacked people, Dogman or Bigfoot?
Do I think that?
Yes.
I can tell you, I don't think my clan would ever do that. They're way too high and evolved and spiritual, but I think that they're not all the same. So yeah, I believe that. Of course, I believe that, but it's not common, and I haven't heard much of it.
I'm going to tell you something interesting right now, and I don't know if he's still in the chat right now or not, but I would like to at some point, maybe on Messenger, me and you get on the phone with this guy, but he was in the comments earlier. Brandon, if you're still out there, leave a comment in the live chat. I'm looking at it now, but I do know somebody who has several eyewitness accounts who were actually there, and I think this is in the early 2000s. This is a friend of mine. Several people, family members, were there at this church picnic or gathering or get together that they actually had, and I believe this was in Texas. When this girl that he knew, he grew up with, was actually at that church picnic, was actually a dog man came out of the woods and basically grabbed a hold of her and tried to drag her off into the woods. It basically took several different family members coming up, and I guess when it comes to it, that's scary. Yeah. But when it comes to your family, friends, or loved ones, you're going to actually take it to the next level and actually go to try to protect your family. You don't want them to die. They actually went up and started attacking this thing, and it finally let her go. The girl, and like I said, I don't see Brandon in the comments now, so maybe he's dropped off. But Brandon Tolbert was in the comments earlier. Brandon actually talked about the fact that to this, and I don't know if it's to this day still, but she ended up having to go into a mental institution because of that. I think that following Sunday at church, the family members were up at the front of the church. They had this basically discussion in front of the church, asking for prayer based on what had happened to their daughter at the last get together. And I know Brandon had told me that he saw that particular Sunday he was there at church, and a couple of other friends, you know how he was a teenager or a kid at that time, they were joking around because the mother and the father and the son, and I guess like they had two sons also, and they basically joked around with them and were cutting up after church and basically saying, y'all didn't really see that. The guy's conversation. Brandon, okay, I see you in the comments. Brandon's in the comments right now. Brandon actually has people who saw this girl attacked and has several. It's a lot of stuff. Now, I don't know if you've tuned into a couple of my last shows, Brian, but I did one with Justin Decker, and we were going over the autopsy report of Amber Miller and Tony Ahrens from Cott County, Tennessee. Now, he feels that was not Dogman related. Jeff Nadoni covered that case for 5 to 6 months straight and got really deep into it. Now, whether his side or what he believed, what information he gathered from that, I'll tell you what, after this show is over with, I'm going to send you the copies of that autopsy report. A 15-inch bite mark from the front of the torso all the way around to the buttocks. What has about that big?
Can I make a comment?
Yes, go ahead.
And I'm not denying that it could have been a dogman, but Sasquatch, they can shapeshift into anything they want. I've even seen them in human form, and I'm not joking. Or not seen them. Yeah, I have seen them in human form. And I had it confirmed by a friend of mine that, because that's how, when you start asking questions, they give you an answer that somebody else will give you the answer, or they'll give you an answer immediately, kind of thing. But it was answered for me and verified that they can shapeshift into anything. Owls, ravens, people, anything like that. So who's to say, and I'm not saying this is the case, but who was to say that a bad entity or whatever could take the form of a Sasquatch or a dogman and do nasty things when it's not really them?
I do feel like that if there are a flesh and blood aspect to them, just like a bear or a lion or anything else, we would be remiss to believe that they would never hurt a person. I do feel like that there's times when my experiences were positive. Like they never crossed over that fence. I was looking at them. There's times that I've not been right there at the front door, sitting on that box.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, right? It could be a dark entity shape shifting into a dogman or a Sasquatch and doing nasty shit.
Absolutely, and that's what I was going to get.
But you know how you tell the difference. Sorry, Beans, and I'll hold that thought. With me, I can feel their energy, like they have energy signatures and personalities or whatever. I can tell through the energy if it's a legitimate Sasquatch or something else, because they've got their own energy signature, and you can just tell. So if I feel something dark or whatever, then I'm very suspicious that I'm not looking at or experiencing what they're showing me.
I agree with you. I do feel like what you just said. I do agree with that. I do feel like that there are, and I don't know how you feel about angels and demons, but I do feel like that there are demonic entities that also know who we are. I do feel like that they know what you research, what you look into, and I do feel like they can manifest as whatever you look into. Because like that saying goes, when you start looking into the darkness will start looking back at you.
Because if you're not being protected, or you've got a wall or some kind of protection up, anything can kind of get in there, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because something that happened to me a few weeks ago was the scariest experience that I've ever had in my entire life. So much so I woke up that night crying and like trying to figure out like, oh my God, like it was terrible. And that's a show for another time, but I don't even know if I'm gonna talk about that on my show, because that was so scary that I felt like I don't know, I gotta start praying. Because when you start looking into certain stuff, when I talk about certain stuff, when I talk about sleep paralysis, or when I talk about possession, because I interviewed some people. I've interviewed a guest on my show one time, and he was an exorcist. And I actually have a picture, and I'm gonna send you this, Brian, after the show. I got so much stuff that's happened, but I interviewed that exorcist, and when I interviewed him, during that show, some of the guests in the live chat was like, "B, what is that behind you? Like it's looking at you right now." Like I'm looking back, like I don't see anything. It's over your shoulders. Like, what does it look like? It's dark. It's black. So during the live, I actually took my phone and started snapping pictures and stuff like that. And what I saw during that show, I was like, that scared me. That scared me so bad. Like nobody in the comments, like when I posted in the group the next day, it was so disturbing, the comments they had, that I was like, let me take this shit down, because I can't keep looking at this. And day to day, there's like basically some people, it's like, well, you were interviewing an exorcist, and so he has done exorcism, and some of the energies that have come through to him because of removing these evil spirits or demons from people that was trying to come through the airways. The weird part about it was that during that show, they were actually, the whole feed was messing up. It was cutting him out at times. And then also when I was taking pictures, I took pictures of the computer screen, I took pictures behind me. And there was also this dark energy also corrupting or surrounding him as well. And people were saying, well,
that guy wasn't a very good exorcist. He doesn't know what he was doing. Because once you get them to go, they go for good. They don't come back and they don't hang around. They don't you know what I mean? But so not to judge, but I'm just saying that's bad juju right there.
What was your
Somebody
comment
doesn't know
before?
what they're doing. Saying that.
What were you going to say before? You had a point.
My comment before was this. I've been involved in this whole community thing since 2012, right? And I've been listening to this story after story, Sasquatch Chronicles and all these other kind of stuff, and the DOGMAN things and all that stuff. And everything gets sensationalized. Every time a Sasquatch is reported hurting somebody or a DOGMAN is hurting somebody, it's a big deal. Like ripples go out into the community and everybody digs down into it, the land between the legs. What about this? And who did that? And the witness of this? And what did the police guy say? Everybody digs down into it. But let me ask you this. Do you remember 9/11?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know how many people have died at our hands in our name from 9/11?
Mm-hmm. I
How
can't
many?
remember the exact number on it. I mean,
It's 1,500,000. 1,500,000 people we killed for no reason at all. And we made 17 million people homeless that had to leave the country and flee into Europe and you know, and the UK. And but like, why are we so focused on? Okay, a dog man took a lady at a picnic. You know what I mean? That's what, and then it's all, oh, it's all this. Well, how come we can't drill down onto that? How come we can't drill down on the 1,500,000 people that we killed it was killed in our name for no reason, for oil, for nothing, for power, for nothing. 1 million people get killed in our lifetime, in our living lifetime, and we don't say anything about it. Oh no, it's a dog man. Oh no, to me, it's a big goddamn distraction. What? And it's like, oh yeah, the government loves dog man because we can blame it. Oh, then you got the 9/11. I mean, the 4/11, 4/11 kind of a thing. Oh, there's children are getting taken, children to this and that, right? And that gets to be a big idea. But it's all like, well, we don't know if it's Sasquatch or not, but it looked like a Sasquatch and it sounded like a Sasquatch. In the meantime, we've got an underground, you know, child trafficking and adrenochrome harvesting, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of kids. But it's, oh no, it's the Sasquatch in the woods. You know, or it's the ETs. The ETs are taken, right? And it's like, how come we can't drill down on what's really going on? It's all a big show, and it's all like we're getting poked in our feelings to look at this way and not that way. But I'm telling you, who's the demons here? Who's the demons? The people who are running our show, our country, our world are the demons here. They're not. It's not the dog man and the Sasquatch and the ghost, and the ghost don't really hurt anybody.
Well, that's why the Sasquatch are here to wake us up to that, because once we have that conscious shift and we realize,
why aren't we drilling down on that? I tell you, we're not safe. We're slaves to the situation. If we say, "Oh, if I start talking about that, I get demonetized or I get kicked off of YouTube or something," you see what I'm saying? To me, there's something way off. There's like, it's so way off that it's monumentally way off.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what?
You go, Beans. You're right.
Frank, y'all preach.
Hey, you know what though? Without getting that heavy about it, which, and I agree with everything he's saying.
Well, no,
100%, but without getting that heavy about it, like, it's how you interpret a situation too. Like, for instance, you know, the Sasquatch will throw a little pebble out on the path in front of me, and what it basically is, "Hi, we're here. How are you doing?" But some people will interpret it like, "Oh, just about got killed by that damn thing," and "Oh my God, he's gonna," you know what I mean? And they're getting their gun and they want to shoot it and whatever. It's how you interpret it too. Like, you know, like, the same identical situation can happen to two different people with different mindsets. One guy's scared for his life. The other one's saying, "Hey, my family's here. I love you." Right?
Yes. My thing on it, like, yeah, because I'm not stunned. Like, I wanted to like speak what Frank was saying a few minutes ago. Like, I'm the biggest conspiracy theorist out there. I don't trust anything that our government has told us about anything. I don't trust them on different nationalities or races of people. I don't trust them on 9/11, and that was an inside job. I don't trust them on the whole thing that happened with COVID or anything like that. I don't. That AIDS, all that. There's cures for AIDS. There's cures for cancer. There's too much money to be lost by curing this stuff. They don't want to cure it. There are cures for it, and they have been cured in other countries. They don't tell us the truth about fluoride. They've lied to us and told us monsters don't exist. All the whole shit is. I'm sorry. I get angry and I get.
It's all, yeah. You're right.
We could say shit and fuck on because we're pirates. You know, we're sitting with the pork and bean show. We're sitting around on the campfire, you know, and that's what you say.
Hey, listen, the
whole
Sasquatch people give people abilities, because we all have the same. We had the same abilities that they had at one time, and they're kind of, when they connect with you, whatever, and maybe Dogman's the same. You start realizing these abilities, and they open up for you. Like, I've been doing some healing and stuff, right? And I removed the virus from some lady. And I'm not going to get into the big story of it, but it was like when I was doing it remotely, these things were screaming like, I heard it in my head. They were scrambling to get away, and they had little things with long arms. They were nanobots with consciousness. So anybody who says that fucking V thing is good, fuck off.
Absolutely.
You're an idiot.
because they know for a fact, and I was off, I was like right off the top
Oh,
of
we're
that.
on a roll here, Beans.
I said, I'm not getting no, I'm definitely not getting a vaccination, because what people don't tell you is that when you get a vaccination, vaccinations lower your immune system. They're making you, and they're not only doing that, they're also changing your DNA. They're creating this thing in your body where your body doesn't have its natural immunity anymore.
And
Now,
every one you get, your immunity gets lower and
Yeah.
lower. Like, that's bullshit.
absolutely, it's
Look,
destroying
that's
you.
not science. They say we're following the science, but the science is that natural immunity is the best way to combat something.
Absolutely.
So it's exactly what
you know what the Catholic Church did with all the women who were the healers, the psychic healers, and the spiritualists, and the herbalists, and the people who are the natural healers. They killed them. They call them witches. You know what a witch is? A witch is a little, when you take like garlic or something and wrap it up with a string, that's a witch. So they call the people who are working with herbs witches. And they killed them in public for 400 years. And even after America was formed, there were still witch hunts and witch trials. 400 years where they took the best people in the world, the most heartfelt, the most healed, the most spiritually evolved people, and they killed them, mostly women. And then they took their children. The children went to the Vatican to be diddled with.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the same reason why they don't want the Sasquatch to be known, because these people were
so you know, like, who's the demons here? You know, you got to put it in perspective. How come we're not drilling down on that? When we look, yeah, I'm in a lot of groups. I'm in 40 groups of Sasquatch and DOGMAN and stuff like that, right? I'm in 40 groups. Whenever anybody says something about spiritual, it's like, oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're a nutcase. Oh, you're a liar. You're dreaming. You're on drugs. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a shock that goes through people. I'll give you another example. If you say to somebody asks you, a Christian asks you, do you believe in God? Do you believe in Jesus? And if you say no, a shock will go through them. And that shock is the shock of the mothers who had to tell their children, you got to believe in Christ or else you're going to die. You know, and this is after a kid. They said, you know, because that's what was going on. People, you have 400 years of trauma, and it goes from town to town to town. It was in Spain and Portugal, and it was in Italy, and it was in France, and it was in Germany, right? Where they kill people, and that's all training districts. Everybody knows if some witch got burned over here, they'd hear about it. And so every mother told every child, you got to believe that Christ is your king, or whatever, you know, whatever the line is, or else you're going to die, or your mother's going to die. And so even to this day, when you say to somebody, oh, I don't, like Brian would say, I believe in Christ, but I don't believe in the church and Bible. But if I say I don't believe in Christ,
I don't believe in you go to hell. That's about fear. That's just fear.
Just saying that is to just somebody who's coming from that history of hardcore Christians. They get all like they get all like traumatized just from saying that.
Well,
look,
I'm a Christian.
I've always had a beautiful feeling about Christ. Okay, but even as a kid, when I was hearing that if you don't do this or that, you're going to go to hell, I always said that's bullshit. That don't resonate with me.
I've heard people say it's a control mechanism.
It is.
Want to keep them in line, and if that's true, I would rather that. I would much rather that, because who wants to think that they're going to go and burn in fire and brimstone for the rest of all eternity, infinity? No.
No, that's not true.
Terrifying. And then, you know, one other thing, and like I said, I'm a Christian, and like, you know, hopefully, like, you know, God exists and God hears our thoughts and hears what we're saying and stuff like that. But to have predestination, which means that you have been chosen since the beginning of time, who was going to accept him and who wasn't. So then at that point, then there's that aspect of, so you chose who would reject you in advance, and in advance creating something to where they are now going to go to hell because you pre-selected people.
No.
There's a lot of stuff. So it's not like I'm not just only in this box of DOGMAN and Bigfoot. I've been researching so many things since back in the early 2000s. I'm probably going all the way back to 2007, 2008. Illuminati, skulls, Bohemian Grove, aliens,
all that.
And so when you look at all that stuff,
Would you balance that with what's going on in the cryptid world?
It's all
Cryptid world
intertwined.
is innocent as babes, right?
Well, it's all connected. I've had an experience where I saw Sasquatch, amazing Sasquatch interaction. We look up at the sky, there's a UFO right above us, and there was a spirit animal. It was all going on at the same time. It's all, I'm getting that energy again.
Well, bears kill people every year, and cougars kill people every year, and nobody says anything about it. I mean, well, yeah, okay, so maybe 45 people a year get killed by cougars, and 60 people get killed by bears. But no, there's a Sasquatch threw a rock at me, and all of a sudden, the whole world's like, oh my God, there's people traumatized forever because they saw a Sasquatch.
Let me ask y'all, have either one of y'all ever been out on any of these Bigfoot, what do they call it, expeditions where they're doing camp outs or whatever overnight, and you've actually been out there at all during these experiences, encounters, conferences, stuff like that? Have y'all been on that?
Well, I host a gathering every year, a couple times, but I pay for everything myself. I don't profit off of them. My profit is the knowledge and the love that they've given me. And every time that these people come, the Sasquatch choose them individually, and they tell me energetically who they want to be there. We like this guy, we like this guy. And every time somebody comes, they do something dramatic. They heal them in some way. I've actually seen healings where they've done healings right before our eyes, or they help them, or they open their hearts or their minds or something. And I have been to some of the other ones, which are fine too. But why?
Okay, so because I was wondering if during these experiences, I got a couple questions. I've been writing stuff down too, because I know I'll forget a lot of the time. But a few years ago, I was listening to who was it? When I was listening to Baron Kumbo on a couple of the shows, and I've heard other people say this as well, that Bigfoot, I think Old Bears Den also mentioned this, that sometimes is a known fact, and I guess even in some of the Native American cultures have also talked about the fact that some Bigfoot have assaulted women. What do you think about that? Do you believe any of those?
I think all that's real. Murder and assault and all that kind of stuff is real. But again, going back to what I was saying, compared to human beings, it is complete innocent. I know places that people can't go camping because they got meth heads out there, and everybody has to carry guns to keep the people away, keep the druggies away. So it all depends on how you look at it.
I want to
absolutely people have been killed probably by Sasquatch. We don't know the whole story of that. Is the Sasquatch mentally ill or deranged or what? We don't know, or sick or something like that. That's definitely happening. But then again, when you start putting it on the scale of humans versus Sasquatch looking like saints, and we're not looking so good.
And I want to reiterate on that too. Like they're terrestrial and they're interdimensional, and they have different personalities like any other human. So yes, I'm sure it's happened. But once again, was it the Sasquatch in every case? It could have been somebody just shape-shifting into them, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's the Sasquatch.
And
they can appear to you in whatever fashion that they want. And of course, other beings have that ability.
I'll tell y'all this, like, I do agree, and I love this dialogue tonight. This is what it's all about, like not getting heated and getting upset about differences in opinion. And I think this is very important. A lot of people, too many people are looking at this for entertainment purposes. Put pieces of the puzzle together. What people are not looking at is the same way you would look at a bear or a lion or any other natural animal. If you have ventured into a DOGMAN or Sasquatch habitat or dwelling, and they have pups or DOGMAN or Bigfoot, like they have babies, then you ventured into their area and they are charging you or bluff charging you, trying to get you out of there.
Well,
that's the situation. I've heard.
I've had experience, and it's not bad, but I've had experience when you're in a sensitive situation like that or area. They put up like a force field, almost like you're walking, like they zap you so that you can barely move or whatever. Because and it's not to hurt you, but with me personally, it's we figured out that sometimes they just don't want you around because it's just they got little ones or something or they kind of thing.
If you want to understand Sasquatch, you really need to do is go back and look at the overall story, overall history of the UFO community. Because in UFOs, it was like 40 years of the movies and the televisions and the shows, and everybody's talking about how evil the aliens are, and they're going to take you and rape you and eat you and all that kind of stuff. There was a just negative programming, unbelievable negative programming. But then around the 1990s and into the year 2000 to 2012, all of a sudden people start getting taken by the UFO people,
Yeah.
right? And then they start connecting to UFO people, and they were healed, and they were upgraded, and they were had their minds opened up, and they had spiritually elevated. Now, in the world's largest survey, they find out that 80% of the people want to continue that the ET contact because it was the best thing that ever happened to them. 10% are like traumatized, and another 10% don't really care. But 80% is a huge number. And if you look at what's going on now, we're still in the first 20 years of Sasquatch or monsters, DOGMAN or monsters. But at the other end, it's not going to be that way. It's going to be like they are just these amazing people, and they fought with us in wars, and they've kept our spiritual spark alive. They did it in India. They did it in South America. Every time that the civilization collapses, Sasquatch step in there and they teach the elders, or they teach the shamans, because like, what does a shaman do? The shaman goes out in the woods and he says, I'm gonna not eat or not drink for 4 days, put my life on the line until I get this connection. And then the Sasquatch, that's how they teach. They'll teach that person. They'll give them an experience, and it's the same thing in India. Where do the Indian guys go to get enlightened? They climb in the mountain. They sit in the cave. And guess who's in the mountain and waiting for them? And the Sasquatch, they know all these Indian techniques. They get this guy boosted up and get him enlightened, send him back out there to help the rest of humanity. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. At the end of this fear factor, and oh, we're all going to die because the dogman is every corner and under every house. When all that stuff settles down, you eventually going to start hearing people talk about how their heart was opened, their heart was touched by a Sasquatch, or a dogman saved their kid, or all this kind of stuff is going to come out. It's going to shift because that's who they are.
Yeah.
They're not evil monsters.
I'm in that 80%.
Any more than we are. That's what or that they're less than we are.
I'm in the 80% Beans is talking about. My relationship with Sasquatch has been the most uplifting, the most big time, knowing that they've taught me. It's been all absolutely positive. I feel like I'm like my vibration is raised. It's just so positive. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Well, I'll tell you something interesting. I'm sure y'all are both familiar with David Pilates and Missing 411.
Sure.
That's who I was talking about.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that. And so I brought it up because I was thinking about that. And there's a few cases where I know in one case they were talking about some kids where, I don't know if it was a little girl or a little boy, but hold on. They disappeared for, I don't know how many days they had been disappeared, or whether they were gone or whatever, but there should have been no way that they should have been still, they weren't wet, like they didn't have, it was below freezing, and the kids came back and were found days later completely dry, like they had food in their belly, and they should have frozen to death. They shouldn't have been found again across 2 or 3 mountain ranges or across the river, and they're 2 or 3 years old. And then they come back with stories of a big bear or a big dog fed me berries or took care of me or took me to a cave. Yeah. There's at least 2 or 3 like that. And I also believe, and I can't remember for sure, the story of Dennis Martin was one of the really popular ones as far as Missing 411 is concerned. The one where the little boy was playing hide and seek with some other kids or something like that, and he went and hid behind a bush, and his father sitting off, like pretty close, not too far off from him, watching the kids play. He seen his son go behind the bush. He seen the other kids come out, and they're still playing. His son never came out from behind that bush. Everybody searched for him, and I can't remember if it was a few days to a few weeks or however long, but some people came out later on, some hikers that were out there at the time, that actually said that they saw something big and hairy carrying a small child over its shoulder. So there's a few cases like that I've heard of where these creatures are actually taking people in. I know when I can't remember one time I had posed a question and I can't remember. I've interviewed so many people at this point, I can't remember everything, but I asked somebody at one point, do they believe that, has there ever been a time when they've had experiences or encounters that people sent to them where dogmen have ever saved people? I have heard cases, other cases, as far as I think some guy was out hiking, he fell like into this canyon, he was hurt, there was no way for him to get out of there, he couldn't do anything. But he actually said in his encounter that a Sasquatch did save him. So I'm not one of those people I'm going to paint them all as bad, because I don't think that they all are bad. I do think that there's different personalities. I think that there's different reasons why people get attacked by Bigfoot or Dogman. You going too far into their area, you've gone back there and pissed in their territory, you've gone back there and you've done something wrong. I interviewed Ricardo Sanchez in my group before I moved over to YouTube. And I called him because he had so much information talking about dogmen and their behaviors and stuff like that. You know, if y'all remember the dog whisperer, Caesar Milan, he could tell you like different things about dog mannerisms. I actually called him the dogman whisperer. So it was so interesting. And I was like, wow, I never looked at it like that. Some people were going back there and they were cutting down the trees and they were doing different things. And then there were people back there hunting, and some of them were just doing it to like feed themselves. They were doing it for sport and leaving the carcasses back there. So I do understand that there's a lot of stuff to this. I do feel like that those of us who they have graced with, you can look at it as a blessing or a curse.
Well, I can tell you personally from my own experience, I've been rescued out of the woods by Sasquatch, and I've also been protected when there was predators around where they protected me. I feel very, I mean, that's what they're like. And there was one time when I was setting up my camp way out in the bush, and I thought, it's bear season and easy access for a bear to come down to stop the trail. And I was a little uneasy, and I got mind speak. It said, we're protecting you.
Do you think
they do protect people? They do. There is kids, like you said, that said, "Oh, I was a big bear took care of me," or something. Yeah, and
a lot of people say that Bigfoot and Dogman can't live in perfect harmony together. They are enemies. What do you feel about that?
I don't think so.
I think that's region by region. I absolutely know that from my experience that the Dogman follow the Sasquatch in terms of their spiritual connection. But I've heard stories of the Sasquatch and Dogman fighting over territory, and I've heard of them living together. One side of the mountain is Sasquatch, and one side of the mountain is Dogman. So I think that goes territory to territory and clan to clan.
Now, I hadn't asked y'all, and I know y'all are interviewing me, but I want to know your theories.
We're just having a conversation at this point. So
what do y'all think Dogman and Bigfoot are? Some people believe that there are. Somebody told me they're nothing more than an undiscovered North American ape.
Well, and to me, they're terrestrial. They've been here longer than we have. They're also interdimensional. They're teachers. They're highly evolved spiritual beings. They're brothers. They call us brothers. And they're good people, man. The ones I know. How about you, Beans?
I call a Sasquatch Archangel class Earth spirits. Archangel class Earth spirits.
Okay.
You got that Archangel class Earth spirits. The archangels, right? They take care of planets and big events, and the angels take care of people and try to help them out and lift them up and save them and stuff like that. But the Sasquatch people, they were put here before us, like millions of years before us, and they are very clear, and they have stated that it's their job to take care of the environment, to take care of the earth and the water, and to take care of the creatures. And we are to them one of the creatures, and that they love all the creatures. They take care of them. So, but in terms of the elevation of their spirit, I'm calling them Archangel class because of the things they can do, and because they respond to the heart of creation, right?
Yeah.
You have your thoughts up here and your feelings down here, and they balance in the heart. And the heart is the heart of creation, which is what Christ is all about. And so that's what they're into. They're into the inner game of life. They're into what they call the all one and no space. And they want to teach us about all one and no space. They want to teach us about invisibility. They want to teach us about bilocation and about how to stay in your heart, find your heart, stay in your heart all the time. This is what Christ was also doing. That's what I'm saying. That's why they know about Christ, because Christ and them are on the same team. That is to find your heart, stay in your heart, and get in your heart, right? That's what it's all about for them. And anytime you're not in your heart, they're going to bark at you or yell at you or whatever. You know what I mean?
You remind me.
Or if you carry fear in your heart, that's like low vibe stuff for them.
I got to carry piggyback on what Bean said again, because I got a little more to add. They are love based. Love is the foundation of everything. Love is the creator. But they are teaching us, because in the dimension that they are in, or the fifth dimension, or a higher vibrational being, they are teaching us how we can transcend and to the next level. Because in the state of love, there is no judgment, which is what people are. So we're taught to judge as soon as we're born. There's no judgment. There's no fear. There's no division. They are, those are all lower vibrational things, and they don't have that stuff. They do not have that at all, and they are trying to teach us to be like that. And when we do, these handlers and these guys are going to be like, they're going to have their tail between their legs and running for the hills, because we're not going to be afraid of them anymore. I
like to add to that too. One of my stories is that in, I think it's 2013 or 2014, the Sasquatch came in while I was watching videos, and I was watching a video where this lady was talking about the Sasquatch wants you to get in your heart, be in your heart, meditate on your heart, and that's how they go invisible. She was talking about how they go invisible, and I was just sitting there and I said, "Oh man, I don't think I could do that." And as soon as I said that, this invisible hand that was the size of my whole body stuck his hand inside my chest, took over my breathing, and I started breathing like a bellows, like a 5-mile runner, like that. I was just breathing like that, right? And as I was breathing, my heart started getting fuller and fuller and fuller and fuller, right? Okay, that's heart-like meditation. That's how they can recognize who you are. And when you get in your heart and you stay in your heart, all the celestial beings, all the higher beings, all the holy men, all these ascended masters, they can all see you, because your heart is glowing and vibrating, and your chi is starting to bounce around. Okay, they're telling me about this. This is all has to do with how do you go invisible, how they go invisible. So they're teaching me how they go invisible. And then I did this meditation for another couple of years. I think it was like maybe 2016 or something, right? Or 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And I was laying in my bed doing this meditation, and all of a sudden the Sasquatch came back. And he put his hand on me again, and took over my breathing. He took over my breathing, the breath of life. He took over my breathing and had me breathing until I got to almost panic, because it was like hyperventilating. And when I jumped up like this, right, from laying down in my bed, I looked down and my left leg was completely gone. Okay, my leg went invisible. And that's the teaching. They were teaching me how to go invisible. What they can do, they're teaching us how to do. What does that tell you? Wrap your head around that. What they can do, they're teaching us how to do.
That's right.
Yeah, and the same thing about mind speak. Like, I'm not big on mind speak, but I did get mind speak once out of them. And what they can do, they teach us how to do. They teach, because we have those abilities.
I've got all kinds of abilities that I didn't have before. As a matter of fact, I forgot to mention. Remember, you were saying that lady that was on the show that Bettina knew or whatever? I got her name before you told me. Her name came into my head before you told me who it was. Counts or something was her name?
Denise, yeah.
Denise Counts, yeah.
She's still.
You were saying there's some lady, and I got the name Denise Counts in my head, because they're teaching us because they can do that.
Denise.
What what
Brian is
Dean's
still
talked about
right
and what
now.
I'm talking about, they can do. They are teaching us that, like I said, we have all the abilities that we once had all the abilities that they have. They're reintroducing us to
Still
these
do.
abilities.
They're just dormant. They need to be excited and awakened. But just imagine what government, think about government. What happens if a percentage of the population can go invisible and walk through walls?
You
That's
know,
not good for government.
I found a really interesting saying on Facebook a few years ago, and it said, "We are spiritual beings having a physical experience." And I
Exactly
think
right.
that I think
Absolutely.
these creatures can tell by your spirit or the vibration that you give off, whether you are a good spirit or whether you're a bad spirit. I know Greg Ghost, like I said before, I respect him and love him to death. He calls them the forest people, the forest spirits. I feel like that they know who comes to do them harm. He has said that before. He's told me some things that have happened out in the woods that, like during some of these campouts that he goes on, where a guy was attacked, but the guy was attacked because I can't remember what. I've talked to so many people, I cannot keep up with everything, but the guy had bad intentions, and I think Greg said he got bad vibes off the guy when he was out there. But one of the things he said, like a lot of this gets brought up a lot of the times on some shows that I've had, and also on some of the shows that I've listened to, when people talk about Dogman or Bigfoot, they seem to know what guns and cameras are. Greg Yo said they can
Oh yeah.
smell gun smoke from a mile away. What do you think about that?
They don't only know what cameras are. I've had them on numerous occasions take pictures off of my camera that they didn't want shared and put pictures on my camera. So,
Really?
yeah. Oh yeah. I've got, yeah, they've, yeah.
How do you
There's a
think?
bunch of big stories. I mean, the stories are too detailed to get into detail about them, on your show, but
Oh no, I
yeah.
got something right now. I'm glad you brought that up because what I want to know, you got a group, and my group is mostly cryptid and paranormal. But when it comes to the cryptid community, when it comes to pictures and videos and stuff like that, whether it is the most big time name in the cryptid field as a researcher or investigator, when it comes down to it, and Dogman and Bigfoot pictures are concerned, we have what people like to call blob squat pictures, pareidolia, what do you call it? Pixelated pictures, blurry. My personal belief on the pictures is that these creatures or beings or whatever you want to call them have the ability to disrupt that technology to cause the pictures to show up that way. The same way when you
Oh
got
yeah.
ghost hunters
And so
Absolutely.
do the
paranormal
ET
investigators,
people.
they charge their
So do
batteries
the
for
ET
several
people.
hours, and now all of a sudden the battery's dead and nothing showed up on camera. These creatures, these beings, whatever, like I said, what y'all want to call them, they have the ability to create that. Nobody's going out there taking blurry pictures. I don't care what kind of phone or camera you have. They have the ability to create that. That's why they're coming out like that, no matter who takes these pictures. What are your thoughts?
I'll give you a short version of something that they did. Okay. So I'm talking to these two guys and they gave me, they gave us a big spike that we found. And this guy's a tracker. So we knew it wasn't there before he found it. So we're going back, we're talking to this guy in the restaurant and he said, "Oh my God." When we showed it to him, he says, "That's exactly what I was going to the store for to get." The exact same thing. That was not a coincidence. Then I'm talking about some of the what happened there and how they showed this guy. They led this guy to some mushrooms because he's into the different species of mushrooms, and that's what he's interested in. So I said, "Hey, show this guy the picture. The guy we gave the spike to. Show this guy the picture of the mushroom." Well, when we looked at all his pictures, he had about 100 of them. The only picture that was missing was the one of the mushrooms. It was gone. And I also happened to be talking about how they can take pictures off cameras at the same time. So they actually showed it in real time. Later on in the day, they added a picture onto the camera in the exact spot where that other one was missing. And it was sort of like a psychedelic, blurry, interdimensional kind of picture. So these beings are highly, highly evolved. And you were talking about that they know who you are and they know your energy, whatever. That's a fact. There's no question about that. But they know what you're going to do 5 years or more before you do it.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, Bettina.
Mm-hmm.
Is have you ever had anybody on your show yet?
Like us.
that-
No, and you know what, y'all, this, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, this is, I swear to God, like, this is my most, I'm gonna say this is one of my most enjoyable experiences so far. I don't feel like, I feel really comfortable with you guys.
I'm sorry, Beans. Go
I
ahead.
like the fact, no, I like the fact that we're
Yeah,
having
but
this
you
conversation
feel
right now,
ashamed of
because we're
yourself, bad
all,
boy.
you know, bouncing ideas and theories off of each other, and it's very informative. It's very important information that's being shared and gathered. I feel like I'm just talking to you guys on the phone right now. Like, this is not like, we're just having a regular conversation.
Well, the one thing about our show is we don't care about a reputation and stuff. We tell it as it is.
Brian, I want you to count for me. Here's a question for Bettina. Have you ever had grown men crying on your show out of love for either Sasquatch or Dogman or anything paranormal, crying tears?
Out of love for them, no.
Out of love for the experiences that they've had.
Mm-mm.
Brian, how many people have you had on your show where grown men cry? I know we had one show where I had two
Or
men
women.
cry at the same time, and or women.
Probably a couple dozen or more. And I mean, I've even started crying on the show.
So,
I've had people
yeah,
cry out of fear.
No.
yeah,
This is out of pure love.
This is out of love and appreciation and devotion to a higher experience that they're having. And he says a couple of others, that's 24. Let that sink in. That's an interesting number. 24 people that we only interview. We like to interview people who are friends and connected to Sasquatch or Dogman, and that connection brings grown men to tears when they actually admit and they feel it. They talk about how touched they are and how their life has changed. 24 of them probably has been out of 100 that we've done.
I would say that the most that I've heard anybody, and I know there's people who love them like y'all do, and I don't hate Dogman. The ones I've seen for years, they seem to know me. They came out there and watched for hours, and I watched them for hours. And I have several theories. These things are not, like the Bible says, there's nothing new under the sun. These things have been around for thousands of years. They've been watching over humanity for thousands of years. Yeah,
There's actually a Dogman saint, isn't there? What's that Dogman saint
Saint
name?
Christopher. I was just about to bring that up. You got Anubis, and Anubis was supposed to be the dog head god. People were depicting back then, thousands of years ago, what they were seeing at that time. People don't know that Hernando de Soto or some of these explorers, when they came over here, were seeing these creatures. You had you had Dogman, that were here at that time. Yeah, Dogman that were here at that time. There were giants on the earth at that time. A lot of people don't know that there's like these mounds here in the United States and all over the world where giant skeletons, like the tallest one, like 32 feet tall. Not that, and I don't know where that was. I got this off Steve Quayle's website when I was researching and like listening to L.A. Marzulli, Steve Quayle, Russ Dizdar, and all them back in the day when I was doing my Christian channel and just bringing up different Illuminati stuff and just telling what all there is out there, more from a biblical and spiritual standpoint at that time than into cryptids, because I had not had that to happen yet. But when it comes down to it, these things still exist today. There's nothing new under the sun. This is just history repeating itself.
Oh, yeah.
And I watched the episode of what was it, Sasquatch Chronicles, one of the episodes, and this is one of my favorite episodes. There's so many on there, but I can't remember what episode it was. You can just type it in and put in Sasquatch Chronicles, mountain giants. These things still exist today. The giant of Kandahar, L.A. Marzulli brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was like around 2002. These things are still here. There's been times in some of my pictures that I've shared or that I've taken where there's been times when I've seen something that looked like a full human type face, but the head is just way too big. And it's like, okay, this has got to be paranoid. There's no way that, I mean, you can see every feature real clear, really clear. But your mind doesn't want to accept that because it's like, we told this stuff doesn't exist. Now, when it comes to giants, if you remember Brian, that story of Lovelock Cave, are you familiar with that?
Yeah, the redheaded guy who...
The Paiute tribes, they burnt those giants alive in Lovelock Cave or whatever. They were red-haired giants, and they were basically kidnapping the women and children of the village and killing some of the men of the village. And so I don't have all the full details on that, and I'm gonna look more into that. And I plan on here in the next month or so doing a show on the Nephilim and the giants. A lot of people don't realize that there is proof of that. There's a cover up on everything. When you turn in stuff to the Smithsonian or on these archaeological digs and stuff like that, you're not going to ever hear anything else after that. That's going to be it. I know when I interviewed Nick Valente on the show and we were talking about DOGMAN and Bigfoot evidence, he was saying that when you get any DNA evidence at all, do not send that into some of these DNA companies in order to test that. Send that to your veterinarian. That is the best way to handle that, because you're not going to get whatever you got back. And there's going to be, everything's going to be covered up. When it comes to Bigfoot and Dogman sightings, there's code words for them. I think, I can't remember if the Bigfoot is called Black Cow or if the Dogman is called Black Dog. And I still cannot remember. I think Al Santoriga had told me this before, but he told me what the code word was for UFOs. And a lot of people also don't realize that it was said several years ago that, I don't remember if it was Eisenhower, one of the presidents, even had the United States government had a treaty with extraterrestrials about how many people that they could abduct. And that our government gave them permission to do so, as long as that they didn't kill them or harm them and that they brought them back. But that those alien entities did not always honor that treaty. It's so much stuff. People don't know about Operation High Jump. What was it? The Antarctica Treaty and all this kind of stuff that happened. What is it? What do they call that? What is this about, like with Antarctica? Is it the inner Earth or
Inner Earth?
Flat Earth?
Inner Earth.
Yeah, all that. So when you look at that, if you believe what Admiral Byrd said, then he said that there's a lot of beings that live in the inner Earth. He said that there were giants and dinosaurs still down there.
Yeah. I mean, this guy was a famous man with a reputation. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be making that stuff up. Mm-hmm. It happened. He didn't make it up.
I agree. And then if you know, like that at one point, Google Maps, like it actually showed the end. I mean, I guess the North Pole or South Pole, whichever one it was at, but it actually showed it on Google Maps. But then later on, when people were saying, what is this hole at the top of the North Pole? What is that? Do you remember that Google Maps actually covered that hole up for people not to see that?
Yeah. There's a few places that they've done that. They've kind of whited them out or whatever. However they do it, they fuzzed them out or something.
And it's a no-fly zone. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's a rhetorical question, but I'm saying, like, why not? What else are they hiding from us? And then you look at it, and then like you hear like with that whole thing with the Antarctica that was going on over there was some stories where there was being said that I think Admiral Byrd actually said that they would fly their planes up to a certain point and that people were actually crashing into this invisible wall. Have you heard of that?
Not that specifically, but you know, what about what do they call that? Where the Bermuda Triangle, whatever. What's going on there? You know, are these planes going into another dimension, or what's happening there? You know, it's the same kind of thing, right?
I still want an answer to that. And that's why I will not go on a cruise or anything like that that's going anywhere over the Bermuda Triangle. That is why I will not go on a plane that's going over that area. None of that, because it still hasn't been answered for. I think somebody did a documentary. It was a pilot, like a, you know, just a regular pilot. I don't think he's an airline pilot for the airports or anything like that. But I think I saw this on either Sightings or Unsolved Mysteries back in the day when he was talking about that he went through this spiral portal or whatever, and it should have only taken him a few hours to get to where he was going. But he was able to get there in like 30 minutes, I don't know, 10 to 30 minutes. I don't know if you ever seen that documentary on that.
No. Interesting, though.
It's some really weird stuff. And I think how many people, this was also on Unsolved Mysteries, there were like plenty of flights and cruises that were going out, or naval captains, or, you know, whatever, that were going out, and different military officials were going out to look for them, and then they also got lost and never came back. And if you remember that show that came out a few years ago, what what was the name of that show? There's one that came out like that, and it's a show where these people got on a plane, and I think it came on NBC. And when they showed up, it had been like 10, 15, 20 years later, they hadn't aged a day. I can't remember the name of that movie.
Wow.
That some of the stuff, you know how they say hidden in plain sight?
Yeah.
A lot of the things that Hollywood shows you in movies and on TV shows, they're showing you what's really going on behind the scenes.
Well, that's because in the other dimensions or whatever, there's no such thing as time like we know it. So that tells me that they went to another dimension or something if they came back and they hadn't aged.
Absolutely. Do you think that when I talked to Scott Carpenter and I interviewed him in the group last year, and as I was talking to him about them, he believes that they're Nephilim. He said that a lot of people who have had cryptid sightings or encounters they also have either had UFO sightings and or paranormal activity in their homes. I can tell you straight up, like I've had UFO sightings.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I had some kind of alien kind of being visit me when I was about 19. And it didn't freak me out at all. I just thought it just felt like just under the subconscious, I knew them. So I was surprised, but it didn't scare me at all. I just said, oh, okay, that was cool. And of course, yeah. So, and, like I said, I've had experiences where I've seen UFOs and Sasquatch together. So they're all kind of working in conjunction with each other.
I Googled it while you were talking real quick. So I was telling you about that show. I'm going to go back to what you were saying. The show is called Manifest. When you get a chance, look at that up, Brian. I want you to check that out because that show, to me, was kind of reminiscent of what we were just talking about a few minutes ago. Like
we were talking about people crying on the show a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you feel the love of the Sasquatch, there's just no denying. You can't. The ones I know, it's just you cannot even imagine anything dark about them. I've literally driven into my woods and instantaneously I've been hit up with this energy that is so strong and so pure and universal and loving that I'm like, la-di-da-di-da. And instantaneously tears are rolling down my cheeks and I'm like, like literally crying and like making noise and everything. It's just that unbelievable.
Now, have you ever been bluff charged by them ever at any point?
No, you know why? Because I'm their friend. They know me. They don't have to do that.
Okay.
And one thing I wanted to make a point of is that the people who really understand these beings, these high energy beings or whatever, they're not going to show themselves to anybody. They want to connect with people who have a heart, who can connect with them through the heart, that they can teach. That's why you see some of these big name researchers or whatever. And I'm not criticizing anybody because it's just a fact. I'm not making judgment, but they don't really have any information on them other than the length of their stride, or we saw them walking off into the bush or this. They don't have the heart connection. If you don't have that, or they can see something or some kind of connection with them, or that your family, or that they want to teach you, they're not going to really reveal themselves to you. They're not going to tell you anything.
Do you think that gifting them is a good idea or a bad idea? Because from what I've heard, people who have stopped gifting them or feeding them, then they come to their homes. And what do you think about the times when they come up and tap on people's windows?
I used to gift them when I was young. In the early days, and I had some amazing experiences. But it was all like funny kind of stuff or whatever. And I don't really gift them anymore. And no, they don't. They're not like pissed off or whatever. No, but they do some funny stuff. They do some really funny stuff. Like for instance, like put 2 apples in a bag, tie it way up in my gifting area. I'd go back and, the bag's still tied up. I look inside. One of the apples has got a huge bite out of it, but it's retied on the tree. Then I take the apple out and I put it 50 yards away on a stump. Next time I go back, the bag's all tied up, looking like nothing happened. I happen to look inside and the half-eaten apples back in there. That kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. I wonder,
if you walk with a Sasquatch, you're going to have to walk with honor and respect.
Yeah.
So if you're feeding them because you want to get something from them, or you want to, or whatever, you want to treat them as pets or something, that's not going to go over real big. But if you're gifting them out of something that's important to you, and out of friendship, you don't have to feed your friends. They're not stray dogs. You
Yeah.
you you give your friend some present, a nice cake or a piece of pie or something. But
They're,
I've gifted apples, but it was just because I had the apples and I thought, well, I don't want to eat all these apples. Let me give some to the Sasquatch.
they're more liable to gift you. I've been gifted like 3 amazing Sasquatch rocks that are just the story behind it is just blow your mind. It's just like unbelievable. And or they'll gift you
Feathers,
feathers
rocks.
or feathers or rocks or
I've been gifted a turtle. I've been gifted a dead mole, a dead squirrel, a live squirrel, and a live
Wow.
mouse, live rat. That was pretty. The live rat was pretty incredible because it dropped out of thin air. It
Wow.
was a thin air, and I was walking down the street, in the morning, and I wasn't looking down, but about waist high, or maybe I guess just under my chest high, um, this little kind of gray mouse dropped out of. That was a rat actually, and it started coming running towards me, and I freaked out, and it ran away to go to safety, but out of thin air, right? And that's another place where I was gifted a live
Yeah.
squirrel out of thin air. You ever seen I don't know if you go camping much or walking around much, but have you ever seen a squirrel fall out of a tree? This squirrel
Ab-
fell. This squirrel fell out
Absolutely.
of the tree and
Mm-mm.
landed on cement. It was just standing there and it was like didn't move. It was looking around trying to figure out what happened. Squirrels don't fall out of the tree. You know what I mean?
No.
Right.
And
You
this
gotta,
is the three of these things was in the same location, right down the street from like
from
three
what I
houses down.
know and what I've seen for myself, like I know that the ones of my parents probably, I feel like they are the dog man. Sasquatch are probably back there too, but I know that the ones that were there, I'm not gonna say that they were. I'm gonna say that I didn't have a bad experience with them because I guess I'll say that they're peaceful because at any point in time when I was back there playing in the backyard with my little dog, as fast as they can run or teleport and everything else supernatural that they can do, there's probably plenty of times that they were right there in the backyard with me and I never saw them. But and I also did see them um, watching, where I felt like I'm being watched, and I turned and looked back, and I'm trying like, hello, am I still there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a little glitch, but
Okay,
you're still
it said
there.
my
I just
internet
turned
was
my
unstable.
video off to try to get a little more bandwidth.
Okay, it said my internet was unstable. So basically, there's been times like I've been in the backyard, and one of the weirdest times that I saw something was when I was out there, and I had my little Yorkie. She's 4.5 pounds. She's running around in the background, and I'm trying to get her to come back. And because I felt like, look over there. And I looked and I was like, there was something extremely black, way, way, way blacker than the shadows, like jet black. And I'm like, I couldn't make anything out of it. So I picked up my camera, picked up my phone, and started taking pictures. And so my little dog's running around. She's young at that point. She's running around playing, having a good old time. And I'm like, Chloe, come on, let's go. Because what I did was after I took those pictures, I stopped to look at my phone and look at the pictures. And when I looked at the pictures, I was like, oh shit, let me get the hell out of this backyard right now. Because what I saw was two things in that tree. One, I saw a black dog man that I could only see its head because the rest of the body was heavily covered by trees, leaves, and branches of the tree. But this head was massive. When I say massive, I mean it was massive. I mean, I can't even try to even think of how to explain it right now. Maybe, I don't know, you just mesh two bowling balls together or some shit like that. But this head was huge. And seeing that
It was
head
like the size of a 5-gallon bucket or something.
no, it was I'm gonna send it to y'all because I don't think I sent it to Brian earlier. I sent him a bunch of other pictures, and this is the one I call the Holy Grail Dogman picture. I call it Holy Grail Dogman picture because to me it's the Holy Grail of all Dogman pictures because there's two dogmen that I can say for sure that are in that tree. The one where you can only see its jet black, humongous head. You could see its cropped ears like a pit bull when people crop their ears. The short snout. You could see its eyes and you could see it baring its teeth at me. It was, I don't know to say growling because I didn't hear anything, but it was baring its teeth at me.
Yeah.
But then directly below that and to the left just a little bit, there's one that I like to call it the gray wolf or husky dog man. That one was standing upright in the tree. You can see its full body from head. You can see its ears. It's turned at a profile. It's the reason I call it a husky or wolf is because the body was charcoal or dark gray. The snout was a light whitish or light gray color, like a husky or a wolf. You can see its neck, upper shoulder area, all the way down to like where the upper torso would be. Then there's leaves and branches that go across the waist, and directly below that, you can see its hawk style legs and its feet, which the feet are the exact same color as the snout, which was light gray. You can see all that. So in that moment, that is the one and only time on camera that I can say I actually captured a full body dog man standing upright in a tree.
Yeah.
Full
By
body.
the way, you did send me some pictures. We can look at some of them if you want.
Yes, let's look at those.
Okay. But quickly, while I turn my camera off, try to get more bandwidth, I'm just wondering, you were talking about them appearing in smoke and mist and whatever.
Yes.
If you look at this picture here, my clan leader, and that's about the size of his head. This is Ari. Can you see him? He's photobombing us.
Yes, I'm looking at that.
Can you see him? This is his nose, this is his two eyes. That's him, man.
And that in the smoke back there?
Yeah.
Yes, I do see that.
I mean, I've seen his face. That's him. That's his face. That's the love and the humor that they got. He's just messing around. He's photobombing. Got a big grin on his face.
Is that on screen share? Because I don't see anything.
Right here is his forehead, two eyes. Here's his big nose.
Right, I don't see anything. Oh, is this behind you? Okay, I see what you're saying. That's just a photo on your thing. Yeah, you didn't screen share that.
No, it's on my. No, I haven't screen shared it. It's on my. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, but I can feel it energetically, and I know that's him. My wife can see it too, and actually, a lot of people can see it.
Was that up close to the camera, like just up? It looks like if anybody didn't know, they would think that it's the smoke, whatever, off in the distance. But was it up close and personal?
Yeah, it's right beside us.
Okay.
I'm taking a selfie, and he's right there, like smiling along with us. I mean, I'm not even doubting it in any way. I've got other pictures that are more clear than that, but that's him for sure. So I wanted to ask you something while I try to get your pictures up. Not try to, I will. So I don't know if you know this yourself, but you've talked to a lot of dogmen people on your show and whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Why is it? Has anybody got a theory as to why they can look so different? Like some look like German Shepherds, some look like pit bulls. Why is that? Is there any reason why they can be so diversified? And I'm going to go get your pictures while we.
Okay, I'm gonna answer that real quick, and then I'm gonna take a short bathroom break real quick. I don't know who supposedly created this 7. What do they call it? The 7 types of dogman chart or classifications. Somebody created a 7 type of dogman classification. I don't agree with it because not every classification that was on that 7 classifications list fit every eyewitness's encounter. And so I don't agree with that. And I don't think a lot of researchers or individuals agree with that. I think that when it comes to dogman, I feel like that there are different breeds and different types. Just when I say types, I'm not talking about like as far as a category like they put it. I think that there are different ones that have different breeds, just like you have German Shepherds, German Shepherds, Dobermans, Pit Bulls, Rottweilers. Like you have any other breed of dog, I feel like that there's different breeds or different coat colors, different eye colors. I don't feel like that they're all one and the same. Some of them may have crop tails, some of them may have long tails. It's just not cut and dry like they try to make it. But you can't put them in a box. I feel that there's different colors, different
That
types.
makes
Not all
a
the
lot of
same.
sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
You want
because
me to?
a majority of the time they're painted as having amber eyes. Majority of the time, the one I saw didn't have amber eyes. It was probably somewhat like this. It was more brilliant blue than this right here. It was way more brilliant blue than that. It was like that beautiful turquoise blue ocean that you've seen on some of these tropical island pictures, but then make that its eye color and then put flashlight inside of the eyeball.
Did you want to take a bathroom break before I bring the pictures up, or do you want to go right into the pictures?
Yes, I will. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break and I will be right back.
Okay, we'll talk about you while you're gone.
Please do. Be right back.
Well, this is really amazing show. I think she broke the record on comments. We got like 250 comments.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got her pictures up ready to go. And
I've been so busy. I've only shared with like about 20 groups so far. So, I don't want to break away from just to go share. But yeah, she's got this really good slice of the pie.
yeah, and she's doing. I mean, that's why the dogmen or whatever reached out to her and are connected to her because of the work she's doing. She's
Where's your
opening
camera,
people's
man?
minds to them. Huh?
You got your camera off or something?
Yeah, I do for now.
Oh.
I thought because
a lot of people like the Dogman. I like the Dogman too, but it seems like all the stories you hear of Dogman, it's always bad or they're getting killed or something.
that's because of that's the attitude that the people have going in. They create the experience they want. If they think they're going to be dealing with monsters, that's the kind of interaction they're going to have.
Well, think of this. I'll ask you this question. Can you think of any animal on Earth that doesn't respond to human love? If even if you have to bring it up from a small baby animal, any animal, any bird, anything that doesn't respond to human love.
No, I've seen guys that have got amazing energy or whatever. They can even talk to a moth or a butterfly and get it to land right on their hand and come and and stuff. I mean, no, I no, they all respond.
There's people who have lifetime relationship with tigers. There's people who have relationships with lions. And there was a little town in Africa where the people of the town are friends with what do they call them? The jackal. What are those dogs? Hyenas. The hyenas.
Jackals or hyenas? Yeah.
No, the hyenas would come and sleep with them at night and stuff like that. So there's almost every animal that you can name, including whales and dolphins, will respond to human kindness and human love.
Even like I said, even a butterfly will.
Oh yeah.
Even a butterfly.
Can y'all
There we
hear
go.
me?
There we go. Now I can see what you're talking about. I can see the claws here.
Now,
Sometimes I'm not that good at these pictures unless they're for me, but that definitely looks like nails and a hand.
Now, I know it's not showing up as good on this. I also sent it to you in the original picture also, Brian. That is just the image that I've lightened up. Can you show the darker of that?
I think I saved it, but hopefully. But before we get off on this, can you see the nails, Beans?
That looks like a plant. It's hard to tell what that is.
That looks like a nail to me, like a claw.
Go show the other picture that she's got and see if it's still there.
Now, Beans, I also send him the one with all the arrows on it. Show the one with the arrows on it.
I gotta save that. I gotta save that one. I'll get that one in a second. So let's go through these ones while we have them, and then I'll go back and retrieve that. Sorry, I only took one of that series.
That looks like a dog man with yellow eyes.
That That was sent to me from one of the members of my group, and I don't remember because so many people send me pictures and videos and stuff on a regular basis that I meant to get back to that person and let them know that I saw what was there. I do know that this picture was taken in the daytime. The one that you just pulled up just right now, this one, Greg, I don't know if you're still in the comments right now, and I hope it was okay to share this. If not, then I owe you a huge apology. I love you, Greg. This is a picture from one of my friends in the crypto community. His name is Greg Dracy, and his YouTube channel is Bigfoot Truth. He goes out and investigates these cases a lot of times. This is on his. That is, I call that one like maybe I don't know to say like a wolf type of dog, man. That you can see the snout coming face forward, and you can see both eyes right there. But that's all you can see on that. You can't see the body or anything like that. There's so much brush there to basically be able to see too many details of it. But that's one with glowing eyes in the daytime out on one of his investigations.
Not very big ears either.
Oh no, yeah, you can't see everything because a lot of the time what people don't realize is that when it comes, well, people do realize it, but people ask in the groups and stuff like that and on shows, well, why are they always hiding behind trees and bushes? I can't answer that. I don't know why they hide behind trees and bushes, but they do. I mean, it's just what they do. I can't really explain that. They do it a lot.
Well, I mean, unless they're cloaked and they're right beside you, whatever. The reason they do that is they don't really want to be seen unless they want to be seen.
Yeah, it's life
So they
and
peek
death.
at you
It's
from
life
behind
and
cover.
death of them.
Well, somebody asked a question, why would they need to hide when they can cloak? And I was like, you know what, that's a good question too. Why would they need to hide if they can cloak?
Maybe they don't want to cloak all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I mean, it seems like they can do it instantaneously, so I don't know how much effort's involved in it. But maybe it's hard to, it could be that it's hard to maintain the cloaking for a period of time. So they just want to be peering at you from cover.
Right.
That's a good point too.
Should we move on?
And
I
I
think
think sometimes
there's a difference between cloaking and then them going into another dimension. If they go into another dimension, then that's fairly easy. But to be cloaked in this dimension takes a lot of energy. Like I was saying, it does take a lot of energy to do that.
and I halfway think that sometimes when they're hiding like that, I don't think that they think that you can see them. Because the majority of the people that they probably hide from or watching, they're probably used to most people not being able to see them because most people don't see them even when you show it in a picture. But that's just one. There's two on that actual picture that's further over to the right, but that is one that was watching him in the daytime.
Yeah.
Next picture.
Here's this one again, and I don't really see anything here, but what's this? This arrow pointing to? Is that your picture?
I don't see anything. It's frozen on my screen. It's still on the same one you had up before.
This
Oh,
one's
it
got two circles.
Okay, I see now. This is the exact same. If that exact same picture, on a wider view of that picture. So that's not my picture. That picture belongs to Bigfoot Truth, Man of Light YouTube, Tracy, and that's the wide shot of what you just showed.
You see, sometimes I think that some people, if it's meant for you, it just stands right out. Some people can't see, even that they're really got a high vibration, but can't see some of the stuff other people see because maybe it's just for them. Like, for instance, I don't see anything with this arrow here. I don't see anything there.
No, I don't see anything on that arrow either. I have no idea what he was trying to show with that. And I told him that at the time, I don't see anything with that arrow. And I don't see anything with that circle to the far right either.
Not really.
Something. One to the
This
left.
looks like it could be something, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was actually on that day.
Is this a Dogman track?
A what?
Do you see the next picture?
No, it's still on the one that has the two circles and the red arrow.
Give it a few seconds for it to boot up.
Yes, that is a supposed Dogman track compared to one of my
Is that 12 inches long? 12 or
One of
14.
the members of my group, that picture was taken in Baltimore, Maryland by B. Moore Bigfoot. He's a researcher. He does have pictures of what was called like chupacabras. Y'all remember a few years ago, videos of so-called chupacabras came out and it looked like a gray emaciated like wolf or coyote or something like that, but it was like hopping around like a roo hat. He's got videos of those on his Instagram, but this is a picture down on one of his research studies or whatever he was doing. He was out in the field and found that DOGMAN footprint. He said it was about 6.5 to 7 inch.
Yeah, you can see that.
Yeah.
It looks like it's got nails here too, or claws.
What?
Looks like there's some claw marks.
Yes,
he looks like a claw mark there, and this one too.
He shared that picture in the group, and when he shared it in the group, some people said, "Well, there's not any scar marks or any like, I guess I don't know what you would call it, like defining things in the toe. I guess like what you talk like little, I don't know.
dermal ridges.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
So some people wanted to debate him about that.
5 inches.
Yeah, well, we don't know if their foot looks the same dermal ridges like the Sasquatch do. I mean, I don't, but it definitely looks like there's claws here. I mean, yeah, claws.
Now I Googled because I was just are some of the largest size on regular dog footprints and wolf footprints, and it was like I think it came up as like 3.5 to 4 inches or whatever in length and whatever. So this
is how big this is how big it is. That's 5 inches right there. That's to show you how big that is. That's 5 inches.
This is more like 6 inches.
Huh?
This is more like 6 inches.
6 inches is down there.
Now, some people actually said that some people in my group were giving them a hard time about it, and they said that was a hoax.
Maybe 6 inches.
And my comment back to those people was like, "Let me see you go out there and hoax it. Let me see you recreate that picture. Then, since it's a hoax, let me see you do it. And when you do it live on the show, so everybody can see you fake a picture like that."
Well, the thing is that people who don't believe in these things, and I'm not saying, there is hoaxing going on, but people who don't believe in these things, they're going to say it's a hoax because they can't fathom that it could be real. Well, so that's the go-to, it's got to be a hoax.
People say it's a hoax because they are a hoax.
It's like the Patterson film. There's no way that was, the Patty film. There's no way that was anything but a Sasquatch. You can't even fit a human body in there. But people look, it doesn't line up. But people look at it and without even really thinking about it, they just say, well, Sasquatch doesn't exist, so it's got to be a hoax. So that's the same kind of attitude that, some of these people give. Although, some of them obviously would be looking at it from an educated point of view too. So I can't say that's for sure, but that's common. Let's go on here.
Yeah, also, there's a lot of fighting and egos and competition in the cryptid community too. So some of that is coming from a place of hating on somebody or basically being a know-it-all because, to me, like I put it like this, like when you know somebody personally or you're friends with somebody or their credibility or you've been on live chat or live video when they went out into the field and you saw them when they found this, then it's like, okay, well, it's a lot that like to call bullshit on people's posts and pictures. And when you do that, you can call bullshit all day. Like I always like to say, you can call bullshit all day. That doesn't make it bullshit. It just means that you like to call bullshit on shit. I don't believe everything that everybody says about a picture, every encounter that they share. No. So I'm not gullible like that. But when you got somebody that's right there in the group with you and that's willing to explain what's in the pictures and give you the backstory on it, I understand if it's some random shit that's coming off the internet, off YouTube or something like that, and nobody knows the backstory, knows anything about it. But when somebody right here in the group right now, they can answer your questions instead of being a smart ass and calling bullshit. Ask them the details on it.
Yeah.
That's simple as that.
What you said about ego and competition or whatever, it's true because, a lot of these investigator guys who don't have a heart connection with them, that the Sasquatch or DOGMAN are not showing them anything because they just don't see any value in it because they can't teach them. They can't work with them or whatever. So those guys, they'll have the attitude, well, I've been in this field for 50 years and I ain't seen none of that. I ain't seen them cloak. I ain't seen them do none of this. So it's an ego thing. They dismiss it because if they didn't see it in their mind, it's not possible.
Absolutely.
But they're not seeing it because they don't have the right heart. So I don't see anything here, to tell you the truth. But
now in this one, it is harder to tell. Like I had to it was a much darker picture, but within that circle, and this is not my picture, but within that circle, it has what you would call a more like if you had to picture a chow, the breed of chow dog. That's what that is. I don't know how to explain it anymore. Other than that, you can dark areas that are for the eyes, and that dark black area right there in the face, that's his nose. The rest of the body you cannot see because it's behind the leaves of the trees, but I can see that. I can definitely see it, but it's kind of somewhat one of those situations where it's just like most Dogman and Bigfoot pictures are, because they have the ability to do that, and I don't know about his camera or anything like that, but this one has more of a chow type look to its head.
yeah, I don't see that. But then again, picture's not for me. So, I mean,
Can you put your pointer over there in that circle?
yeah. What do you want?
You just go over where you were. Go into the middle of that circle.
Here?
Let's see your little pointer moving.
Can you see it?
Um,
I'm right in. Can you see my pointer?
no, I did it first appeared, but in the middle of that circle, little dark black spot, like in the very center, that's the nose. And y'all, like I said, we're gonna get up. Yes, I see it now on my phone. Hold on. I don't know why I don't see it on the computer, but I do see it on my phone. So hold on. I want to enlarge that so I can see what you're doing. Hold on. Yeah, what you're pointing at, that is the nose. And then go up a little bit, Brian. Go up a little bit. Keep going. Up. Or stop right there. Go to the left. Go to the left. Other way. I'm sorry. Come back down.
Other left?
Other left. Other left. No, you're going. Keep direction you're going. Keep going the other way. Not that way, the other way.
I was there. Which way you want me to go?
Brian,
stay right there. Right there, Brian.
There. She doesn't see. She sees it like 3 seconds after you do it.
I know it's. I don't know. It's a lag, right? Come down a little bit, Brian.
Here.
Right there. You're close to that eye. That's one eye, and then the other eye is over to the left a little bit. Just go where you were before. First point that you pointed to was the nose. The eye is on a little bit and to both sides. So it's like a chow dog's head. So that was sent to me from a researcher who saw that thing before him while he was out.
I don't doubt it. I'm just saying I can't see anything in there. But I'm not discrediting it either, because I know how it works. You know.
Y'all stop chat right now. Y'all stick around. We're gonna show some more pictures. And I don't understand.
It only took me a year to find your picture of to see Irie in one of your pictures.
Oh, you want to see my RE? I'll show you him. See
no,
if you can see him.
I don't.
Not you.
No, I'm laughing at Frank.
No, he don't want to see it because it's so obvious. But it took him a year to see it.
To you, but it took me a year to see it. So.
But now you see him, right?
Yeah, now I see it. That's why I don't want to see it.
Well, this isn't the show. Okay. What's this? It looks like an owl.
Show. You guys are friends. Show her after the show. You guys can have.
Now, listen, Brian. Picture you looking at now. This picture belongs to Greg Yost. He shared it in the group when I interviewed him about a month ago.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
That picture is of a Dogman, and I know that this is stored. It is watching the show. If y'all want to see a clear, up close picture of this, I'll share it in the group back, and I'll also share it in the Pork and Bean Show group also. This is when the Greg Yo saw in the daytime. I don't know how many years ago. I forgot now. He's told me, but you're looking at a dog man peeking its head out from behind that huge trunk that's there in the middle. You're seeing one on the one side of the head sticking straight up, pointed like a Doberman's pointed ears, and you can see the snout coming forward a little bit. The eyes are glowing.
Yeah, I can see that. But is this colored, or is this the actual color that it was?
Somebody put
No,
dye on it.
I think that's a black and white picture because I believe that's what Greg sent me.
No, I know, but why is the image of the Dogman or whatever it is, why is it, where does it go? It looks like it's purple or something. Like
That's just Photoshop. That's all it is. It's black and white, and they put Photoshop on there so you can see it.
Oh, okay, see, I don't know anything about that stuff. Where did she go?
I don't know. She's not here. We're down to 2 participants.
Well, we're the stars of the show, so we can carry on. No, I'm just joking.
I'll pretend to be Bettina, and you can ask me questions.
Yeah, so you've actually talked to rocks. So when you say you can talk to anything,
You can
any
talk to
living
rocks.
thing. I mean, if you can, hard
And
to believe,
rocks are on our side.
exactly. I don't know. I see something there, Beans. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I see something.
Well, are you still on the same slide?
I think so. I'll move to the next one.
Slide. Go to the next slide. I'll tell you about that. Okay, well, there's one on the right is definitely a dog man.
But here?
On the right, yeah, that's the dog man. The one on the left is the same picture, but it's not as enhanced.
See, I don't really see anything there.
You don't see the 2 red dots on the right-hand side?
I do. So what's this, the snout here?
Yeah.
And the ears?
And the ears, yeah. But then you can look back over and you can actually see that in that dark, what do you call it? A blob squatch.
Yeah.
Blob.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not my forte to, even though I've got some amazing pictures of stuff like this, I think they have to be for me, or they have to be like right in my face before I can see them.
You never know. Maybe the next one you'll see.
What's that?
Maybe the next one you'll see. Go check your messages and see if she's trying to get in.
Okay. I think we got the pictures done anyway. Yeah. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah. Where am I? I'm in Zoom here, so I want to get out of Zoom and go look at Facebook. We got disconnected. That's what she said. Well, come back on if you want to come back on and say goodbye or something. It's already been like 3 hours. Here she comes.
I realized I was talking, and I was muted the whole time. So
Can y'all see me? Can y'all change my name on there again, Brian?
say what?
Can y'all change my name on there again? I don't know why it's still showing up. I had logged into that back when I was married.
Okay. Well, we should be wrapping up pretty soon anyway. What do you think, Beans? But I'll do it.
Definitely change your name. Don't ask me.
It's showing up as Lehman. That's my ex-husband.
Bettina Moss. There you go.
And we got now 305 comments.
305.
Which is a record for Pork and Beans.
Hey, you broke the record there.
I'm excited. I'm gonna have to have y'all on the show next. I'm so excited about this. I've got so many things to talk to y'all about.
I don't know. We're pretty famous. We don't know if we can.
You need to go ahead and open up your YouTube channel. Brian, thank you so much for having me on the show. I had to leave out and come back into the stream.
Well, tell your listeners or followers, I do have a YouTube channel, and I've got like over 350 videos on there, including every Pork and Beans episode, and then a lot of my experiences and thoughts and teachings I put in the videos, and so they can go listen to that. It's called the Sasquatch BC, the True Story, Pork and Bean Show. So
you need to just call it the Pork and Bean Show, because everybody, how many subscribers you got? How many members do you have in your group?
About 850, something like that.
You know what? I'm gonna promote you in my group, because I don't understand. Y'all so deep. Y'all are real deep. Y'all on a whole nother level. I mean, I'm telling you, y'all on a whole nother level. They falling asleep on y'all. Y'all is like the real deep Holyfield. They didn't fall asleep on y'all. I'm gonna promote y'all on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna promote you in the group. I'm gonna do all that. What I would like is that, like, your group, y'all show is the Pork and Bean Show. I know you, and like y'all, to me, like I was like, oh, these some great guys. Like, I really love your show. I love the way the guests that you have on the show. I got so much stuff I want to talk to y'all about, and I know we've been going. We started about 5:30. It's 8:40. We've been going for about 3 hours right now. I got a bunch of stuff to talk to y'all.
Well, the reason we know, well, I wouldn't say know so much because there's no extra. The reason we have so much different information than most people is because we connect with them through our heart, and they're teaching us. Like I said, they're not interested in teaching some guy out there with a gun who's, I'm going to get that damn thing and a damn malt, like, damn that old stinky thing, like, they're not going to do anything with those people.
I got a question for you, Bettina. You're on this kind of journey, right? There was a time in your life when there was the Dogman rule wasn't really on your radar, and then there was, right? So let me ask you, how much have you changed? Any kind of things that have changed for you because you kind of dove into this topic?
Yes. So I knew about Dogman before I saw them, but what has changed is that because of that, it has affected my life in a way that, like, even like after I get off this live with y'all in a few minutes, like, I'm gonna go get something to eat. I'm starving, but it's dark now. So when I go out, like, I live on the second floor of the apartment complex I live at, but even if I was still in Athens at my parents' house where they used to live before, it's changed me to the point where at one point in time where I had that blissful ignorance of not thinking that Dogman was right there in my parents' neighborhood, that safety blanket. After that first sighting that night, it changed the way I did things forever. I never would pull up, even though I had a key. If I came over there at nighttime and it was already dark, then sometimes my parents would have that screen door, storm door, whatever you want to call it, they would have that locked. And so sometimes I would be standing out there for a few minutes, and especially if it was late and my parents had already gone to bed, I would have to wait sometimes for a few minutes for them to get from the back of the house to the front of the house and come unlock the door, the deadbolt, and screen, all that shit. But I wasn't worried back then, because at that point, then Dogman just doesn't exist. It's not part of my reality. But after that first sighting, if I came over there dark after a certain point in time, then I would call and say, Daddy, can you open the door? Can you unlock the door? Can you stand at the door and wait while I get my stuff out of the car? I refuse at that point to, like, stand outside while I'm waiting for Daddy to get out of the bed. That's changed. Also, what else has changed is...
Are you saying that so now you will just get out of your car and just go normally?
Oh, no.
It's the opposite. Oh, you won't now.
It's the opposite. No, like, I would call my father or my parents, my mom, and say, hey, I'm getting ready to pull up at y'all's house. Unlock the door, and can you be standing in the door waiting for me to get out the car? Or can you come out here and walk me from the car into the house, because I'm not walking in by myself.
See, I don't want to put you in danger by making a suggestion, but I think that they are working with you. Hold on a minute. I think they're working with you, and they're not going to harm you at all. I don't think you have anything to be. I don't think you have anything to be scared of.
How she's changed. Let her finish how she's changed, without your interruption, please.
Okay. So that's changed. I don't just pull up over their house and just get out and go. They don't live there anymore, but if they were still living there, no, I'd already changed it. I would not get out and go straight in. I need them to come to the door. I need you to either come out here and walk. Do not walk off from the door. Stand there and wait for me to get my bags out of the car, or come out here and help me get my bags out of the car, because I'm not going to walk straight in the house now. It's also changed me because at one point in time, I wanted to go camping. I wanted to go hiking, but now I've never been to do any of that. Now that was something I wanted to do, but I refuse to do that now. I would not, the only way I would feel comfortable going camping or hiking now, or camping anyway, would be, and it's ridiculous and I know it's crazy, but I would need to feel like that I got at least 3 or 4 armed people on the outside of the tent, and at least 10 people in the tent with me to feel comfortable, because I'm going to be one of the speakers in the upcoming DOGMAN Cryptid Conference on August 13th for Josh Turner's Cryptid panel. And some of them, Jody Cook and I think Nick Valente, D.A. Roberts, and a few others are planning on actually going out there into the LBL at night, unarmed. And there's still DOGMAN sightings encounters there to this day. Somebody was just chased, I don't know, a few years ago. Somebody personally that I know. So it's changed the way I look at stuff. It's changed my life. It's changed the way I look at going outside at night. It's changed even to when I get in the car and get ready to take a drive or go somewhere and I'm in a secluded area, because I know my ex-husband has actually opened the door to the car before when I'm pulling up in the driveway. So what if I'm stranded somewhere? Is a DOGMAN just going to be able to come up and open the door and I'm sitting there? What if the door wasn't locked that night and I think it's locked? So it's changed me in that way. It's changed me in a way that I'm also somewhat consumed with researching this stuff. I have nightmares every now and then about DOGMAN. So it's changed me in a whole lot of ways. So that's
that researching stuff. I mean, you kind of dove into it. I mean, and you got these couple of channels, couple of groups, and that's a big change. Did you ever think you'd be talking about DOGMAN and cryptids and all this kind of stuff?
No, I never thought I'd be talking about DOGMAN and cryptids. I've always loved, ever since I was researching or listening to podcasts and videos about Sasquatch. I never thought that one day, and I came across DOGMAN encounters, and when I came across that and started listening to more and more people's experiences, I thought that it was interesting and I believed it, but I never thought I would have my own. But once I had my own, and once I had multiple sightings and encounters after that, at that point in time, then I felt like I need to open up. I need to start making sense of this. I need to start putting all the common denominators from every show, every experience, every eyewitness encounter. This is not for entertainment purposes for me anymore at this point. I need to rationalize this. I need to make sense of this. We need to figure out what this is. And so for me, it's therapeutic, and I feel like it's therapeutic for other people as well, because we told monsters to exist, and I know like y'all feel like they're peaceful and fun loving. Yes, my experiences were positive, but not everybody's experiences have been positive. There's some people who have been traumatized by these things. Some people who have their kids lured outside, or had these things trying to lure them outside to come out for whatever reason. There's been people who have sent me pictures and videos of where they were, not videos, but pictures of attacks, bite marks, scratches, like horrific wounds, and several other stories, like the story that came out of Cobb County, Tennessee last year, Amber Millen and Tony Aarons. I got the coroner's report on both of them. It was the worst shit I ever read. And ain't no explaining that. And you can tell in that coroner's report that the coroner was having a hard time trying to rationalize that. And Jody Cook has called that coroner's office, and I don't know about Nick Valente, but I know Jeff Nadoni has also called and got details on this. And I've got a few people on this. There's some weird stuff. Some people say, well, it's just a pack of wild dogs. Why is everything now a pack of wild dogs? And I'm not saying that all dogmen are aggressive, and I don't believe that. But
because they ran out of bears.
Thank you.
Yeah.
North Carolina, North
Well,
Carolina.
what about your spiritual outlook? Your spiritual outlook on life? Did that change? Is that the same?
My spiritual outlook, I'm a Christian, but some of the things within Christianity, like I haven't turned my back on Christ or God. Still a Christian. I have questions about several things that were not explained in detail that are in the Bible, several books that were taken out, several things in the Bible that were contradictory that makes you question it even more. But at the same time, as it relates to cryptids, it has made me believe even more because I know that a lot of people don't think about this on a deeper level, but the Bible actually does, for the most part, from if you're looking from a deeper level, for the most part, it actually does give evidence for cryptids more than it doesn't. Reptilians, satyr, people worshiping the bull, or like, that what I would probably assume they're not just worshiping a regular bull. I would assume that they're probably worshiping a bull man, like a minotaur or something like that. Things that people were depicting back then in those times, ancient Egyptian, Anubis, these things already existed. The lion men of Moab. And then you hear people today talking about cat people. These things is already here. So the Bible just gives more credibility and proof.
Sekhmet, for example.
Giant of Kandahar. Genesis says there were giants in the earth in those days and also after that. And he also goes into one book in the Bible, and I can't remember which one right now, but which basically said that the Rephaim would be resurrected in the last days to bring out his vengeance. So it's so much stuff. It's so deep. I could go on probably for another whole 2 hours about this, but it's all intertwined. It's all interconnected, and it's not separate. We got cryptid community, UFO community, and paranormal community. It's all together. It's all together.
So would you say that your life is better and richer, or it's been diminished and limited? What would you say is what's the balance for you?
I feel that I have become consumed with doing shows, running the group, and consumed with Dogman as a whole, as it relates to research, pre-interviews with guests and eyewitnesses, because I do that, and I usually, just like how we're talking right now, sometimes I'll spend 2 or sometimes 2.5, 3 hours on the phone with eyewitnesses, and it becomes consuming to where it almost has become like my entire life. And I don't think that that's good because, like, I talked to Dark Waters, and I don't know if y'all are familiar with him, but Dark Waters that mentioned at one point on his shows that when you research Dogman too much, you have made it an idol at that point, and there is a spirit, and then y'all can debate me or feel like different on it, but there's a spirit that comes with Dogman. Sometimes you'll start to have them have dreams about Dogman, or have them to manifest in your room and stuff like that. So there's some negative aspects to this too. It comes with the point of isolation too, because when you get into it real deep, you somewhat isolate yourself from friends and family, because for the ones that don't agree or don't believe you, then they're looking at it like my family looks at it like, well, you don't think you should be, you don't think you should be researching this Dogman stuff all the time because it's demonic. Okay. I'm researching because it's important. I'm not a Satanist. I'm not a devil worshiper. I'm not any of that. But when it comes down to it, like even the Bible tells you, and I'm not saying that these are the enemy, but you have to test everything. You have to know people who are Christians should be researching different things as far as spiritual warfare, deliverance, exorcism, all that kind of stuff. But the average Christian, if there were somebody with demonic activity on their property, on their land, or in their homes, they're not going to deal with that. Most priests and pastors are going to tell you, I don't deal with that. You got to find somebody else. They're going to come over there and they're going to sprinkle a little bit. When they get in there and they feel a negative energy or negative presence in the room, they're going to disappear immediately because they don't know how to deal with that. So how do you know your enemy? How do you know how to deal with any of that stuff? You don't know because you haven't researched it. So if somebody's possessed, didn't Christ tell you that you have the same power that I have? Didn't he say that you're going to have greater power, more even greater than I have? So any of you, Brian, and you too, Frank, at any point, any of us should be able to cast out demons and spirits from people.
Yeah.
But everybody can't because they don't have enough faith and they don't even believe the shit in the first place. So when it comes down to it, you can't fight what you don't know anything about. The Bible also says, know your enemy. How are you going to know your enemy? How are you going to test the spirits if you don't know anything about them? How do you take it to the next level and not understand when it comes to sleep paralysis and stuff like that? That sleep paralysis, even, that's not hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations. When you go to sleep at night and you're in a dream realm, the dream realm is real. Your spirit is going to another dimension. That's more real than your real life right now. That's why during sleep paralysis, when you can't move, you can't see anything, you can't talk. But even though for me, my physical eyes have always been closed during my sleep paralysis. I could still see my body laying there on the bed. I could still see every little napkin that may have fallen off on the floor. I can still see everything in the room, because what it is that it's not that your physical body is aware. You are a spirit first living in a physical body. Your spirit is aware that there's another spirit in the room. When you feel that presence, when you feel something evil, you can feel, I can know in my spirit, in my heart, and my mind, I know that there's an evil spirit standing right there, right now in that doorway.
Or a good one.
Or a good one. I can tell. I know exactly where it is.
By energy.
Well, that's deep. That's a profound change, actually. That to from not knowing anything to be willing to really face it and look at it and check it out and test it, like you say. That's pretty deep.
It took me several years to figure out what. Well, the first year it happened, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, what the hell? Because I had an out of the body experience with the first sleep paralysis experience. That shit was so scary. Before I went to sleep that night, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let y'all go. But before I went to sleep,
can I give you before you let us go though? Can I give you my thoughts on what I think you said? Because Beans was right. I shouldn't have interrupted you, but I have something that I want to share.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you want to say first?
Before I went to sleep that night, the first time it ever happened, as far as sleep paralysis is concerned, I heard scratching on the wall. Still 20. This was 2002 or 2004 or something like that. I heard scratching on the wall that night at my parents' house, the same house that all the DOGMAN encounters happened 20 years later. Scratching on the wall. And I remember everything that I was wearing, t-shirts, sweatpants. I'm literally like sitting there and basically on the couch laying. I was lazy, didn't feel like getting up, going to bed that night. Scratching's going on, and you get creeped out, and I'm watching TV late, and I'm like, well, what the hell? It kept going on so long that I had to get up and check it out, because now I need to make sense of this so I won't be scared. Goosebumps came up on my arm. I got up, and the scratching on the wall would have been like maybe if you had a cat or a dog in there and it was scratching on the wall, or maybe one of those weird big ass beetles that would be on the ground every now and then summertime, and it's crawling up the wall. I looked all around the area where the sound was coming from. I even said this electrical buzzing coming from the kitchen. That didn't produce anything. I just laid back on the couch and ended up finally falling asleep. Fell asleep. The same shit that was happening right before I went to sleep started happening again. And now I'm getting scared because it started as a dream. And now the dream is taking a whole nother turn, because those same sounds that were happening a few minutes ago before I went to sleep, it's happening in this dream. Now I'm aware. And when you have a dream that you're scared of, you say, you know what, I don't like this. I'm gonna wake up. You can wake yourself up from a dream if you don't like how it's going. But not in that moment. This is the scariest shit ever. Okay, you wake up, like get up right now. But this was the first time that this had ever happened to me. And when I tried to wake up, then I'm aware I can't wake up. I can't move. I can't scream. And in my mind, I'm saying, get up, wake up, wake up. The next thing that happens is that now I'm aware that I can feel that energy or vibration. There's an evil spirit or demon in this room right now. I can feel it. And when I say this, and I'm like, I don't want y'all to think I'm weird, but I could feel the hatred. And it's not like a natural human hatred. It was like on some like demonic shit, like you actually in hell right now, and you can feel every form of hatred, murder, just you can feel that being projected towards you. You know that this, whatever's in the room with you right now, and it was invisible. I've seen them before on at least 3 or 4 different occasions, demons. hold on.
Well, that's deep. You know, I
Let
know
me
a
tell
little
you
bit
this,
about.
Frank. When at that moment, I knew exactly where it was. And I said, but I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know nothing about sleep paralysis yet. So at that moment, I knew where it was. I heard those scratching sounds and I realized I can't move, I can't scream, I can't end this dream like any other normal dream. The next thing I realized was that now I'm up here. My spirit was up at the ceiling and I'm looking down on the couch and I'm looking at my body laying on the couch. I had like a strand of hair going across my face. You dream about yourself. You're not going to dream about every single detail. I had on a t-shirt and some sweatpants. One pant leg was pulled up to the knee. The other one's all the way like down to the ankle. And the covers was completely disheveled around my legs. I could see that there was a napkin on the floor. I could see my cup on the coffee table. I could see all that. I had an out-of-body experience in this sleep paralysis. And I'm telling myself, I'm thinking in my mind, oh my God, I'm dead. I didn't know. Like I'm 23, 24 years old. Is that me? I'm 23, 24 years old. And so at that moment, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Then the scratching continues. The next thing that happened after that, I hear footsteps running around the coffee table. My parents had hardwood floors. So I hear footsteps running around the coffee table. My spirit's looking at my body down there. And I'm telling my mind, I'm telling myself, wake up, get up, get up, get up. It's going to choke you. It's going to grab you by the neck when it gets over there. Please get up. My mind, my spirit is trying to tell my body to wake up. And when whatever this was, it was invisible, but I could hear the footsteps running around the coffee table to where my head was, like on the other side, like it's on the couch, it's coming over. And when it got there to me, it grabbed me by my neck and started choking. I don't know how long it was choking. I just remember that not too long after that. Do y'all remember the old Western movies? You remember they had those saloon doors that kind of swung back and forth. So they call it a great room now, but back then the den, it was called a den back then. So there was a separation between the den and the kitchen. So the next thing, my spirit is still hovering up there while this whatever invisible thing is grabbing me and choking me by my neck. And I knew, okay, you about to die. You about to die right now. The next thing I saw when my spirit is up there, through those saloon doors, my dad walks in there. He's getting ready to get up and go to work. He worked first shift at General Motors. He walked in the room. He had on a red t-shirt. He said, Tina, time to get up. You got to go to work. You're going to be late for work. Get up. I could hear him, but my body couldn't speak yet. And my spirit was up there hovering on the ceiling. So I seen him while my spirit was hovering on the ceiling. I seen him walk in there. But at this point, I still don't know what the hell is going on because this never happened to me before. Daddy turned around and walked out of the room, walked back to the back of the house. He's getting ready to go to work about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. So a few minutes later, my spirit was finally able to get back in my body. Whatever it was that had me by my neck released me. And I sat up on the side of the couch just like, what the fuck just happened? And I knew in my mind, this wasn't no dream. This was no ordinary dream. This was not real. Like this actually happened. And you know what? I sat there long enough. I had to try to rationalize it. And I said, you know what? Let me go back to the mom and daddy's room right now. I went back there, knocked on the door. Daddy opened his bedroom door. You know, he had on that red t-shirt. I said, did you just come in there and tell me to get up because I'm going to be late for work? He's like, yeah, because you know you need to get up now because you know how you slow. So I seen him come in there and tell me that. But my spirit was up there at the ceiling. And I'll tell y'all more later because I know it's getting late. But I will say this, that wasn't the only encounter. There have been multiple times after that from 2004 all the way up to a few weeks ago when the worst shit out of all the sleep paralysis experiences that ever happened. And I was afraid for my very soul. And I would talk to y'all about that another time because that was terrifying. And I'm still thinking about what to do about that.
Can I give you my thoughts on what you said quickly? And first of all, I feel like irresponsible. Like I don't want to put you in harm's way because this is my experience. So I can't say it's going to be yours, but my experiences as a teacher student kind of thing. And dogmen can be that too. Now, when you said the dogman, when you first met him, said, "Oh, it's just you. You're all right," or something, basically, right?
No big deal.
And they haven't hurt you. I honestly believe, but like I said, don't want to put you in harm's way because I can't vouch for it, but this is exactly what I would think is that, dogmen are teachers too. Now, this guy said it's just you, so he accepted you. He already knew who you were. But the thing is that these teachers will not work with you when you have fear. So if you could somehow get some kind of trust between you and these dogmen, where you weren't afraid, where you showed them that you weren't afraid, I think that a whole new relationship could open up for you. It could be a teacher-student kind of thing.
Well, I didn't tell you, Brian, that since that time and that encounter in 2013, that first encounter, I have been back there in those woods, back there, deep back there, at least 3 times. I went back there with Kumbo a few months ago, like in person, and I actually do have more pictures that I captured back there at the time, which whatever I captured on camera this last time, I did not see it in real time until after I looked at the picture. And that wasn't a dog man. I don't know what that was.
All I'm saying is that they will not advance you if you're in a state of fear. So I'm not telling you what to do. And like I said, it would be irresponsible in case something happened. But if, for instance, you walked to your car and show them that you were brave enough, that you didn't want that you just walked like with trust from your car to your door, that would show some kind of, that you're not so much afraid, and things might start opening up for you. They might start really communicating with you, because they're not going to do that if you have fear.
I'm going to have I'm going to have you on the show, and I may have to come back on your show as well, because I've got so much stuff to talk to you about. And I'm going to talk to you after this, because we need to schedule something. I've definitely got to have you on. I really enjoyed you and Frank tonight, because this was very profound. I think this is very important. I think there's different aspects of this cryptid community paranormal that needs to be addressed and needs to be brought up, and people need to stop looking at it like it's a separation, because it's not. Some of us are empaths, some of us are sensitive, some of us are what do you call it, when it comes to having a sight, or for the people who are Christians and you don't want to look at it like from a secular or new age level, then you are a prophet or prophetess, or you are a person who has discernment of spirits. I prayed and asked for discernment of spirits in 2010, but I specifically asked God and told God, because I've known for a long time, since I was a teenager, that I had a special gift, but I prayed and I asked God in 2010 after that sleep paralysis incident. I said, I don't mind, God, for you to give me discernment of spirits, but I do not want to see them. And I thought, like, because I was specific, that he would actually like go with that and I wouldn't have to see him, but that's not been the case. I guess when God decides that you're going to have this gift and I'm going to give it to you the way I want you to have it, then that's just the way it is, because I've seen them at least 3 or 4 different times. Yeah. So, but because of that, that's taught me a lot too. And I understand, and it's so many different levels to this that people don't even understand. It's way deeper than what we're talking. We're talking real deep right now, but it is a rabbit hole when you get into this. Just the fact that right now it's 9:07 my time, and I know for a fact that for me, talking about certain stuff at certain times at night almost always guarantees an attack. And I get scared because
have you ever talked to the dogman? Have you ever talked to the dogman and say, can you help me with this sleep paralysis and these spirits that are hanging around? You ever ask them for help? Because that's one of the things that they're noted to do. They keep bad things away from people and keep people from going in and out of portals that are not supposed to be going in and out of portals. So it might be worth just trying to make a connection to them and saying, can you help me with this?
I know how to deal with it. I do know how to get rid of it. have, and this is a show for another time, but I have undergone, and for y'all that still viewing or that are viewing this after the fact that weren't a part of this live, understand like that we as Christians, sometimes we go through stuff and it's not true when they say that a Christian cannot be demon oppressed or possessed. That's not true, because sometimes we fall away from God or we renounce God. And at one point I did renounce God. And because of that, I paid the price. Now, I will say that I do know how to stop it. I do know how to stop it. I do know why it has started again within the last few months or so. Because it's come from stuff that's going on in my life and that's going on in the cryptid community. I understand that there's some stuff going on with that. I understand that there's a spirit of DOGMAN. There's a lot of stuff that's going on and different factors that have brought it up to this point why it's starting back up again. And I get that. So I know how to stop it. So yes, I do know, I do have people like that are legit exorcists and deliverance ministers and stuff like that. If I need to have somebody come over with cleansing, or if I need to go get some stuff done, I do know who to contact for that, and it's actually worked. But I also know that when you are delving into cryptids or paranormal discussions and stuff like that, witchcraft or any of that kind of stuff, those of us like you, me, and Brian, Frank, when it comes down to it, you got to stay prayed up. You can't just do stuff like this and do shows like this and interview people who exorcise demons from people on a regular basis and not pray or do some type of fasting or some type of cleansing or whatever before you do shows like this, because as a result, when you start exposing different stuff, you're going to come under physical and spiritual attack.
I never have, personally.
You haven't?
We had this lady on who was a
Never.
demon,
Because if you get,
killer. Remember that lady who was a demon killer? She was pretty interesting.
but then I've got them protecting me in all ways or whatever, and because I trust them and I have no fear.
Are you talking about DOGMAN and Bigfoot? Because I'm not talking about.
I don't know anything about DOGMAN. I'm talking about Sasquatch.
Oh no, I'm not even talking about cryptids right now. I'm talking about on a spiritual level, because I don't just only do shows on DOGMAN and Bigfoot. I cover paranormal, demonologists, paranormal investigators, UFO encounters, abductees, all that stuff. Like, it's a broad spectrum for me. Now, mostly all the shows I've done have been about DOGMAN and cryptids, but that's just because that's what people have sent in. I think some of the more deeper stuff, like what we're talking about right now, I don't think a lot of people want to share that stuff, or maybe I haven't pushed it enough to where they feel like that's what I do too. But after certain things that I've done, as far as like interviewing certain people and talking about certain things, I'm thinking about possibly having somebody else to do certain interviews like that, because I do know for a fact that demons have come to me. I have seen them before, and after the last thing, I'm not going to talk about it right now because it's late. It's at nighttime. I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah, we got to go too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Talk to you about it in the daytime, but I'm gonna have to pray before I go to bed tonight, because they come.
But all I was saying is, when we'll wrap it up, is that I think that if you had a little trust and a little less fear with the DOGMAN, and you said, hey, if you're into it, if you're open to it, I say I'm open to really meeting you and having you show me things and teach me or whatever. I think something big and wonderful and different would happen for you. But if you were open to it.
Have you ever, like what you're telling me right now, have you ever actually yourself personally walked up to a Sasquatch, like face to face, and like been one-on-one, like directly close to them, like not just from like a few feet away or a few yards away, like you've actually been right there up close and personal with one?
I haven't actually walked right up to one like that, but you know, I communicate with them energetically and in different ways. So that's even actually more. That's actually even a step up. You know, it's more important actually.
If you were in my shoes that night and you were in the car, like, and the DOGMAN told you, "Oh, it's just you, no big deal," and it lets you know, okay, I know who you are. Do you feel like, based on what you're saying right now, that you would have felt comfortable enough in that moment to get out and walk however far 60 to 70 steps was, 60 to 80 steps?
Well, let me put it this way. If it was my guys, Are you asking me if I would be afraid if they were right face to face with me? Not at all. There's complete trust. If it was my guys and I had that situation, I would have felt completely comfortable and honored, and it would have been a beautiful thing. I would have, I wouldn't have had any fear, if that's what you're talking about. I'm just saying that they are teachers, Dogman and Sasquatch. So if you are open to them doing that and not having quite as much fear about it and trust, it could take you up to a whole different relationship.
I do know.
Besides, you've got God and you've got Jesus and God protecting you anyway. They're not going to be able to harm you with that kind of faith and with that kind of protection.
I do feel like that my parents, my mother's a minister, my father's a deacon of the church, and I do honestly feel like that the only reason why, I ain't gonna say the only reason, because I just feel like maybe the ones that were around me were docile, maybe, or they liked me or whatever, but they always let me see them and they let me get decent pictures of them, not garbage.
If you ask me what I would do in your situation about, having the fear of walking 70 feet or 70 steps into your house, what I know now, I would like just sit out on my back porch or wherever it is, and I would have a heart-to-heart conversation with the Dogman. I just say, listen, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of you, and I'm afraid of these spirits, and I'm afraid of this kind of stuff. Is there anything you can do to help me get over this fear or to help me deal with this situation? Is there any way you can empower me? Because I don't really want to live in fear. That's not my thing. It's just something that I got now. And now that I got it, I would like to, ask you guys if that's what you can do. If you can do that, that's great. If you can't, well, that's all right too. You know what I mean? Just give a heart-to-heart talk with them and see if they can help and see what happens.
I want to be friends. I want to get to know you. I want to get over my fear. Exactly what Bean said. He's absolutely right. And I have had them right beside me, but not in the physical. But no, I've never been afraid, and I've never felt like I was in any danger ever. As a matter of fact, I felt like, if anything, I was being protected.
Brian, after the show, we're going to go ahead and shut it down. I'm just going to get ready to roll out, but I'm going to send you, I'll either send it tonight or I'll send it tomorrow. I want to send you a few things, and then I'm also going to hopefully try to go ahead and schedule. I would love to have you and Frank on my show, because this is amazing.
I'll tell you something about demons. Is the demons only are attracted to people who potentially have a lot of power, people who have a lot of light or they have a lot of power. And if you haven't developed your light and power, you're getting ready to take that next step. That's when the demons come to throw you off balance, or to make you afraid or make you withdraw, so you don't take that next step into your power, into your divinity, into your majesty. So it's in a way, demons, they're not that big of a deal. They're more, but they will test you. And, and that's really what it is. It's a test to see if you can stand up to them.
Yeah. Actually, I remember early on with the Sasquatch, they gave me a test to see where my fear level was. And I just simply laughed and I said, hey, that was a good one, guys, because they will not work with you when you're in fear. So that's what we're talking about. That's my,
Y'all are deep. I got something for y'all. I got something, like, as we've been talking, like, I got something brainstorming in my head that I'm definitely going to have y'all. We're going to talk about this. Matter of fact, I don't know what y'all got planned. Brian, I'm going to talk to you tomorrow.
I'm a demon killer.
You are? I'm serious. Brian, I'm going to talk to you tomorrow, and we're going to set something up, because I've got some ideas in my head right now, some things I want to talk to you about. I want Frank on there. I got some ideas.
Why do you want that guy on there? I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Y'all are awesome. This has been one of my favorite shows so far. This is I don't go this long. I go about 2.5 hours on my own show.
That's one thing about our show is people say they only want to go on for an hour and a half, and 3.5 hours are going by, and they said, "Oh, it's over."
We went live a few minutes after 5:30. It's 9:17 my time right now. So what is that? Like almost 4 hours?
I'm going to go because,
let me say goodbye. Let me close the show up. No, hold on.
Say the thing.
Close the show up. Yeah, okay. Thank you on behalf of Port Cunningham and the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Bean. This has been the Pork and Bean Show. And we would like to thank our guest, Bettina Moss, for the amazing conversation we all shared between us. And
best show ever.
Yeah.
For
And
me,
we'll have you back again. And thanks everybody for watching. And remember, keep your mind open, because keep your heart open.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Good night, y'all. Thank y'all so much.
I love you slow. Don't you know? I want my own blade. All the buttons coming down. Taking my phone. Hot and high. Hot and high. Hot and high. High. For the tummy, oh my. Love a big old plate of pork and beef. Goody, 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 goody. Love it, love it, love it. In the tummy. Love baby, love high, love ooh, love why. I love me some bowling way. Don't you know you gotta need that feed. You got to have some pork and bean. Pork and bean. I'm gonna holler, yo, mashed potato, oh, have it now, don't wait for later, hot and high.